Brothers, and now the continuation of the Tectone files. Last night I did a full blown reaction to part one of the Tectone files, where we looked at the absolutely devastating and depressing story of Freem, Tectone's now ex wife. But what she did while she was Tectone's wife was absolutely disgusting. It was despicable. And honestly, after reading what Tectone went through, I feel I feel so bad for him. I really do. I was very emotional because what Tectone had to go through from his wife and the people around him, it is so despicable. What these people put Tectone through is insane. But now is the part two. We're going to be taking a look at more files. We're going to be taking a look at more documents. We're going to be going over all of it. Guys, strap yourselves in because it is going to be a long one. It is going to be a long one. So prepare yourselves. This is going to be the part two of the Tectone files. And nobody else, other than Legal Mindset and myself, is actually doing this. Nobody is really going through the documents and giving you the facts and giving you the details. Most people have made up their mind. They've already determined that in terms of Tectone that this isn't a benefit to my channel, so I'm going to cut ties. I'm going to virtue signal. I think that this situation, I think what it requires is somebody like myself that doesn't give a damn. That does not give a shit. I'm going to give you the truth, whether it's positive to Tectone or negative to Tectone. If I have to criticize Tectone, I will. But everything that I saw in the files for night one made me actually more sympathetic to Tectone, and I felt genuinely bad for what he went through. But now we're going through part two. So who knows? Who knows? You know, this is going to be up on the YouTube channel. So yeah, I hope that you guys stick around for the whole thing. If you don't, I would understand because this is going to be long. But anyway, without further ado, let's watch the Tectone Files Part 2.
Connolly, investigator Justin Newland from May 10th, 2025 for John Robertson. That's Tectone. Mr. Newsom, pursuant to your request, a specific issue polygraph examination was conducted on the above referenced individual. So that's Tectone. So Tectone did a polygraph, right? Still got lag. I don't want to kill certain other things. Do I have to kill Twitch? No. Issues with anxiety. Got okay. Validator polygraph test from the law office of Coffer and Connolly, investigator Justin Newland from May 10th, 2025 for John Robertson. That's Tectone. Mr. Newsom, pursuant to your request, a specific issue polygraph examination was conducted on the above referenced individual. So that's Tectone. So Tectone did a polygraph, right? Still got lag. I don't want to kill certain other things. Do I have to kill Twitch? No. I'll keep it on. I'll still keep it on. Let's see. Do I have to drop down the quality again? If I go to 480, is that going to be? Yeah, I know it's probably my camera. It's not bad. Okay. If it's good enough for government work, we'll do it. Okay. All right. And I'll consider what we do with streaming. Let me get this nicotine pouch out here. Just kind of.
So somebody in chat asked, "Is this all pre-recorded?" No, I'm just recording a video for YouTube right now. We're going over the Tectone files. That's what we're doing right now. But now that we cleared that up, let's get back to the topic at hand. This is a polygraph. Now, polygraphs are not 100%. They're not infallible, but this could be interesting. So, during the pre-test interview, Mr. Robertson said he denied ever doing anything sexual to Pink without her consent. He denied ever putting his penis in Pink's mouth or anus without her consent. He stated that Pink gave him consensual non-consent, and stated she was okay with him waking up with his penis in her mouth without consent. Mr. Robinson stated that he never did this anyway. He denied ever having vaginal or anal intercourse and stated that it was only oral. Okay. Like, we never really should be privy to this. This is like the most intimate details of somebody's life. And now we're reading about it on the internet. That's crazy.
Since I can't vape, because that's illegal, we're just doing the nicotine patches for now, or pouches for now. All right. So he did a polygraph test. He gave consent for it. He's under a doctor's care for low T and anxiety. So this is another thing I think it's like relevant, is that if someone's got low T, they probably have issues with ED, et cetera, performance, and they've probably got other issues with anxiety that are playing in here. So, we got to consider in this case that we've got 3 people, and all of them appear to have some sort of mental health issues, other issues, underlying issues, which I'm sympathetic to for all of those people. But all of those things need to be accounted for in the analysis, right? Hold on here. Got 10 legal mindset memberships from Unbound Valkyrie 9489. Yes. Using no words. The jurors have. We'll get another one in the swear jar for that. He denied ever putting his penis in her mouth or anus without her consent. He stated that Pink gave him consensual non-consent and stated that she was okay with him waking up with his penis in her mouth without consent. Mr. Robinson stated that he never did this anyways. He denied ever having vaginal or anal sex with her at any time, stated it was only oral sex, which, once again, okay. Right now, I have to say, these are people's personal sexual lives, which, once again, do we always need to be airing this out? The dirty laundry out here for everybody. Information like this, some said it's really private. And what you come to agreements with about your sex life is very, 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 very much should be kept between the.
Yeah, that's between 2 consenting adults. It's not anyone else's business.
The legal mindset, and then people are going to probably be DMing me for this document, and I may or may not give it to them, or they can just clip my stream, right?
We're gonna do a reaction to the stream. I hope Legal Mindset doesn't mind.
On the 23rd day of January 2026, the following proceedings came to be heard in the above entitled numbered cause before the Honorable Dimple Mathorna, judge presiding. This girl, look into her. She's definitely an activist judge. Held in Austin, Travis County, Texas. Michelle Locke, the attorney for petitioner, so that's Pink's attorney, and then Jeffrey Perrier, that's Tectone's attorney, right? We're going to have all this stuff. Appearances, case called, opening statements, petitioner's case, respondent's case, closing statements. All these exhibits here. Look at this. Look at this. We're going to go through here. All right. We're going to be going through all of this. Once again, these are court documents, and this information is all out there. Okay. So the court says, this is an open court. Let's go on record in cause number C1CV2505339. It's an application for an order of protection in the name of Linda Lamar, listing the respondent as John Robertson. So this is Pikachu, and this is Tectone. If I have both sides, please state your appearances for the record. Ms. Locke, I'm Michelle Locke, and Caitlin Bolin on behalf of Linda Lamar. We're ready to proceed. Jeffrey Perrier on behalf of John Robertson, the respondent, ready to proceed. The court, all right, thank you. Are there any preliminary matters we need to address? A couple of preliminary matters, Your Honor, just housekeeping. We have a motion to appear electronically for one of the custodian of records in the doctor's office. Court, that's okay. Next, we've been trying to subpoena them for 2 weeks, and they said it was difficult having to deal with attorneys, but they agreed to make the records available electronically, so we did file a motion for that. We also filed a motion as relates to sealing the medical records, and I believe that was granted, right? I believe that was granted.
We have Eli Bedakovic with a $2 donation. This is far too uncomfortable for me to listen to. Brother, I completely understand. I don't think it's going to get that graphic again, but yeah, it may. But this is what we have to go over. If we want to get to the truth, we have to go through this stuff. And I do want to get to the truth. I know some people don't, but I do.
The court says there have been 2 subpoenas. One was issued by the opposing counsel, and they obtained mental health records of our client without a release. We have concerns based on the history of the parties and the history of this case, information being disclosed. So we'd like to have any medical records put under seal. This is important. So we're not going to see all of the medical records. That stuff has been some of that stuff has been redacted out or taken out, right? So there's some medical stuff that's not in there. That's very much fair. That's very much standard. That's very much par for the course. Magico's Zoe for €5 says, cool to catch you live. The details we go through as part of the court case. Ms. Locke says, I don't have any witnesses in the room. Court says, okay, all right. Ms. Locke, do you wish to make any opening remarks? Briefly, Judge, if the court would allow. Thank you. This case has been pending, Judge, since August 21st of 2025, and it's a protective order based on sexual assault as well as stalking and harassment. It will get into the issues of what occurred, but to give the court some background, the parties are streamers. Foreign concept to me. I've learned more about that than in the last couple months than I ever thought I would. They have an immense amount of following. I think Mr. Puryear, at our continuance, a hearing on the extension, mentioned and made the reference to Barty's being like Brad and Angelina, or maybe Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right?
Yeah. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Yeah.
But of the Twitch streaming they do for online gaming, and the parties have a relationship. The court will hear details of the sexual and the nature of the sexual relationship between the parties that give rise to claims of sexual assault. What the court will hear is evidence on how it came that my client, Miss Robertson, came to live with the opposing party, Mr. Robertson. It was kind of a bait and switch. So saying that she was kind of induced to this, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh golly shucks. A woman can't make her own decision. No, she was coerced, guys. Because as we know, women are just as intelligent and strong and empowered as men, unless it's inconvenient, and then they're weak and stupid and susceptible. That's the way that it works in our society. The propaganda is that women are strong and empowered. The way that women are treated is though if they go, oh my gosh, I was induced to stay at his place rent free. He induced me to do so. Oh golly shucks, I'm just a poor damsel. Like the contrast is so insane. It is so insane, and people buy into this shit. Yeah, Schrodinger's feminist.
That's the story that the lawyer is telling here. It was, hey, come here and help me with social media and move in. You can live rent free. And she moved in. It became, oh, well, you need to give me oral sex to compensate for your rent. Okay. So you're going to hear some information about coercive control. You're going to hear that he.
Okay. So let's just grant that this is true. All right. Let's grant it's true. You can live rent free. And when she moved in, it became, oh, well, you need to give me oral sex to compensate for your rent. If that is true, then why didn't she just go, okay, you know what? I'm not comfortable with this. I'm going to leave. Strong and independent women, my ass. So she had a place of her own. And then all of a sudden, Tectone did this. So she didn't vet this guy. Like, what you would have to do to believe this is to say, well, this woman didn't vet this guy. She didn't do any due diligence. She, like, basically didn't know anything about this guy and just moved in, and then all of a sudden he's a monster. This is a dishonest and retarded framing that only makes sense if you shut off your brain and you just really don't like Tectone. That is the only way that this makes sense. And also, if he did that, and he said, well, look, you got to suck my dick if you want to stay here, then she can leave. She can literally go, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm moving out. And be like, you know what? If that's the case, I'm gonna move out. Like, and by the way, this is Pinky Chew here, so they're not married. At least to my knowledge, they're not married. Because if they were, that would be a whole other conversation.
Recorded her without her consent in sexual acts. Was that him or was that Freem? Because last time I checked, that was actually Freem that did that.
Yeah. So what you're going to see is that this lawyer is being entirely dishonest, and the judge is a far left activist. And what you're going to see here is this is the type of woke kangaroo court bullshit that can ultimately destroy a man for some things he didn't even do.
Not, anyways. We're gonna go through this. You're gonna hear, Judge, that he would demean her by having her write "slut" and "come here" on her face before he made her perform oral sex. Once again, what you're into in the bedroom is between you and your partner, right? If you're into some kinky stuff between you and your partner, as long as they consent to it, it's fine. But well, the question is, was this consensual, right? What you're also going to hear is that the case, Your Honor, is that they never actually engaged in traditional intercourse. It was only he received blowjobs. There was never any reciprocation. So they're literally making a case that because he didn't have sex with her, this is abuse, right? So I just want to make it clear here that there's an argument here that really the problem is they didn't fuck.
This is retarded on so many levels that it's hard for me to really, it's hard for me to really even navigate this. But honestly, the judge and the prosecutor who actually argued this, and the judge who affirmed it, if it were up to me, both of these people would be in jail. They would be removed from society because they are the problem. That is absolutely fucking retarded. That is diabolically stupid. And by the way, keep in mind, we're just starting here, and this is the indictment of Tectone. This is the Tectone is the monster. So Tectone didn't rape her. They call him Rape Tone. So now we know he didn't engage in anal or vaginal sex, and we're talking about blowjobs here. We shouldn't be talking about this, but we are. But this is important to understand. When you watch the people react to Tectone like he's some sort of animal, you need to understand that it's not coming from a place that they're genuinely concerned. They just don't like the guy, and they're gloating and celebrating at his downfall. They don't actually care or actually believe that he did any of this stuff. They just go, wow, this really looks bad. Karong says Tectone needs Jesus. Well, Tectone is finding Jesus, but he didn't have sex with her. I mean, you could argue oral sex is sex. I guess you could, but he didn't engage in, like, if this is true, he didn't engage in actual sex with her. But I mean, like, the whole thing here is just wild. That they're trying to make the implication that it was somehow abuse because she wrote things on her forehead and she was engaged. Like, a lot of these girls do that. A lot of these girls are into that humiliation shit. Man, this is crazy. And this tells you how biased these courts are against men.
And I will say that can be if you're in a relationship, relationships have kind of three parts of the relationship. It's like a triangle, right? There's a business part, kind of like living together, working together, how you collaborate. There's communication, how you communicate with each other. There's a sexual element, right? And there should be reciprocal enjoyment there, but it's not necessarily illegal if one party receives more sexual enjoyment than the other, right? In addition, there was never any real kissing. He would want to spit in her mouth and she refused. And so you're going to hear a lot, and I think you will hear, Judge, is that my client, and the evidence will show that my client had been raped before, a pretty ugly rape in her 20s.
What does that have to do with Tectone?
And knew what that was. Well, once again, a previous instance, which is...
Like, this whole thing should have been thrown out immediately. What we've heard here is, Your Honor, my client is claiming these things, and we have no real evidence for, like, this is insane. Guys, my client claims that she was raped in her early 20s. Okay, that's terrible. What does that have to do with Tectone? Why if this were such a terrible relationship, why didn't she leave? Like, the entire onus of this is damning on the system because it's trying to say, well, this guy, by the way, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong if you are in a relationship and you have one person who's dominant and one person who's submissive. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like you both have to be dominant or both be submissive. There's nothing wrong with that. But this whole thing is being recategorized and reshaped into something very ugly. I don't like where this is going. Because if this is it, If this is the smoking gun that these retards have, the fact that they're canceling and distancing themselves from Tectone over this, it demonstrates that the streaming community is absolutely broken. There is no defense for what we've seen so far from the opposite side, from the people who hate Tectone. Trying to claim that there's something like gross or nefarious about this, I just don't get it.
It's horrible. And by the way, whoever did that to her should be punished if that happened. Absolutely. But that doesn't necessarily make a future partner liable for that previous horrible experience, which is horrible, and no one should have to go through that. Didn't understand until she got out of this relationship how bad it was. And this is kind of the thing that, I see in a lot of the cases where we get sexual assault claims filed a year, 2 years, 3 years later. We saw this in the Kahn case, in the Princeton case, where you have a person that does not think they were sexually assaulted, that knows everything was consensual, but then they have a friend, perhaps a very activist friend, who convinces them that they were SA'd because they weren't, because of their perspective and their prerogative on this, right?
Yeah, and by the way, those people should be arrested too. Those people that are a detriment to the human race, a detriment to their civilization. These people are fucking retarded. They're opinionated. They're obnoxious Karens. They're wrong about everything. Yeah, the world would be a better place if these people just went into the box.
They say in the future, hey, looking back on that, you were actually, you're actually a victim. And we see this happen. It's a very common pattern, especially in campus cases, where you'll get people that talk and afterwards they talk to somebody else and they convince them that that is indeed a thing. Real quick, I'll probably legal minds, so you name drop what this reminds me of. Yeah, exactly. Deb first, make it. Tectone probably should have just shut up about her on the make. I wish I could just get on a and I get it. You're pissed off, but I'll say this. I'll come out here and say this. I've got some exes I'm pretty pissed off at. I've got a couple. And I've had some stuff I'm going through personally that I wish I could just get on a stream and I could just rail about it and talk about it, but it's not smart. It doesn't look good, and you should not do that, right? So that is calling balls and strikes here, right? Not trying to just make it. Tectone probably should have just shut up about her on the stream. That probably is what he should have done, right? So spurging.
Yeah, so much for free speech. So much for defending yourself. Yeah, guys, if you're a man, you can't defend yourself from false allegations.
Out about it is not smart. It's not, right? Let me call it fair here. Once again, I'm not just simping for Tectone. The court will recall at the last hearing, the court said, I will caution the parties to stay off social media, especially as it relates to the case. And this he should have done, right? And Mr. Robertson that day went and posted something about the case. That's stupid. That is stupid. So what you will see is his consistent threats on social media, wherein he has told his audience of over 1 million subscribers he suffers from schizophrenia. He has delusions at least once a month and they're not controlled. Well, okay. So he's allowed to tell his audience about his mental health condition if that's something that's out there and that's relevant, right? He should, of course, be on medication for that. He should, of course, be getting treatment for that. I've talked about how I recently got diagnosed last year with bipolar disorder, and I've been working on that. And it's really difficult sometimes to deal with. And that's something you should be considerate of. But it doesn't give you the excuse to spurg out, and you should try to keep that under control, right? So he has also said that in additional social media posts that he will take her down and that he will expose the truth. He goes on rampages about women, etc., which is fine. I mean, look, we've got a whole manosphere out there that rages about women.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Especially after this court case, there needs to be a lot more of it.
Pretty much incessantly, right? That's what a lot of the internet does. It's a thing. You got to calm down about it, right? You go through a little bit of a rage phase, and then you got to calm down, right? That my client and evidence will show that since his protective order has been in effect, my client has had peace for the first time since they broke up because he has, for the most part, been retained in what he's allowed to do online. And the concern is based on his own statements to these streamers, and we'll have the videos judge, that if a protective order goes away, that my client's life will turn into a nightmare again. So saying the protective order is really to keep him shut up on the internet. And I can see why a judge would enter into a protective order for the sole reason of getting him to shut up online and coming to the conclusions that you need to come to get that to happen, right? An activist judge, right? Okay.
Even though this is a blatant violation of his First and Second Amendment rights, it's a blatant violation, And I hope when Tectone appeals this, I hope that they come to that conclusion that it's ridiculous.
So my client is on the spectrum for autism and suffers from anxiety disorder. So we've got a bunch of mental health conditions here on both sides. It is an unfortunate case, and what is difficult about it is that these parties earn their living from social media and streaming, and that any effect that he puts on social media and the threats, they get back to her. He knows that they can get back to her, and he knows that it can affect her business. The court will hear a little bit of details on how the online streaming works in compensation, but it was very much she thought that if she left him, all of her social media and all the income will go away. Well, I don't know about that. That's one.
Yeah, that's retarded. People like me in Legal Mindset and other people are going to continue to make. They're going to continue to make commentary on this. Now, whether it gets back to her or not, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Pinky Chew. She's a lying, retarded whore that silenced this guy and tried to destroy him based on her listening to bad people, terrible people. And the fact is, this judge, yeah, should be in jail. You're depriving this man of his rights, his ability to protect himself over this nonsense. Yeah, we need to treat rogue activist judges the way that we would treat enemy combatants. You get a trial and then you're going to jail. Like it's crazy.
One that I'm skeptical of. I think especially for someone who has OnlyFans and Fansly and that's her revenue stream. I don't think the people that are simping for that and on that and doing that are not going to go away, right? Because of an ex-boyfriend. In fact, they probably are going to give you more money because they're going to feel more sympathetic towards you, right? So I don't think that all of her revenue would go away, but I can see how she'd be worried that it might affect her image, right? Yeah, simps are going to simp, right? They're just going to simp, and they're going to simp harder. Amaranth.
Yeah, I'm an OnlyFans whore, but I'm worried about my image, guys. I'm worried about my image, because I wouldn't want people to think bad of me.
Is a good bellwether for that. But at the end of the day, we're asking the court to grant a protective order for the appropriate time period the court determines under the statutory authority in order attorney's fees in connection with the granting of the protective order. Of course, it's all right. Thank you, Mr. Puryear. Mr. Puryear said, Judge, very briefly, I think what the court is going to hear and what the court is going to see for the documentation itself that will be offered and my expectation that will be emitted is that the summation of relationship could not be further from the truth. I think what you'll hear is the applicant, Pikachu, was the one that reached out to Mr. Robertson to begin the relationship. So that's where he reached out to Tectone, and a romantic relationship was begun in December of 2022. And the romantic relationship progressed, as many do, and they moved in together. It's true that the applicant never paid rent. What I think you're going to hear is that Mr. Robertson had a male roommate who didn't pay rent either. So he was going both ways. You could say Tectone was going both ways.
Oh, man. Devastating. Already right there. Oh, man, that's devastating. So apparently it wasn't just her. He also had another male roommate that wasn't paying rent.
In allowing people to live rent free. I will say that you should not allow people to live rent free in your life. That is not something you should do.
True. Maybe he's helping somebody out.
Don't do that. No rent free, Okay. And people over there on locals, I appreciate you guys though. No subpoenas about the subpoenas. No, that's a good comment from locals. Appreciate you guys there. A little swear jar for that one. We'll get into. I think we'll see how many times micro penis comes up in this because last time it came up way too many times. Mr. Robertson has been fortunate in his finances. He makes pretty good money doing what he does and is happy to accommodate friends, romantic relationships in that way. And this is a problem. I can even empathize with this because I used to be very much like that. But when you allow people to go rent free, they don't respect you, right? They lose respect for you. There was never any quid pro quo associated with it. Now they were certainly intimate, as people in relationships are. Is this not like the most common sense everything? Like if you are in a relationship, you're probably doing sexual stuff. I know that this is a 2020 into 6 or 5, and there's a lot of weird assumptions, but generally, if you're in a relationship, you're having sex. Now, there are situations where you're not. And some people have trauma, some people have other issues, some people have backgrounds, and you have to be considerate of that. But typically, sexual stuff is happening of some nature. I think what you're going to see is the evidence of the nature of that relationship and how consensual it was. It's my expectation that you're also going to hear about a police report that was filed in February of 2024 by the applicant against Mr. Robertson's ex-wife, Jessica. That's freeing. right? And the nature of that police report and the applicant believed that John's ex-wife was recording them in their intimate interactions. Exactly. It was the ex-wife that was doing the recordings. Masrova Palma dropping a big 20 Illegal Mindset memberships. Thank you for helping out. Yes. It seems normal when you're in a relationship, but thank you for that. Also, thank you for the 10 Legal Mindset Sib spirit of relationship. She was not saying that she was a victim. I think that's a very relevant fact. And the nature of the lawsuit was centered around these alleged recordings that John's wife made, that he didn't make. The wife made the recordings. Right? The wife made the recordings. Case Wolf said, saying it shouldn't be common sense. This is 2026. Common sense in the West is mostly dead. Sorry, I live in the East. No, I know. I mean, even you're going to hear that in this lawsuit, the applicant's details lies that been told by John's ex-wife online, very similar to the allegation in this case. The applicant made some bold proclamations online to her followers and followed up with the lawsuit. You're going to hear that among the lies that she details in the lawsuit that John's ex-wife was spreading online was that she was John's sex slave, that she was being groomed to be a sex slave. She unequivocally states those statements are lies and not true. So Pikachu herself stated that she was not a sex slave,
right,
and that she was not groomed, and that it was consensual.
Right.
So she's literally arguing. So Pikachu is arguing out of both sides of her mouth.
Right.
She's arguing in her case against Freem. She's saying,
right. So against Freem, it's no, I'm not. But against Tectone, it is. This is why these people in the legal system are as hated as they are. Because this lawyer knows what they're saying is a lie, but they're doing it anyway for money. It's despicable.
It was consensual, and I'm not a sex slave. I was not groomed. But then later on, she's going to say, actually, now was not okay. It was non-consensual because I spoke about this later with a friend, and now I figured out this was not consensual, right? Stocky 9,000 for 10 pounds says, Papa Mindset, I need you to know that until your last end of June in 2024, yes. Like a traffic accident, you institute, right? So saying the motion that she is a sex slave or that she's been groomed to be a sex slave is a disgusting lie. You're also going to hear that she was admitted to Austin Oaks about a month after she files for a lawsuit. This is a mental health institute, right? So she was admitted for mental health purposes. You're going to see yourself that writing the intake staff at Austin Oaks asked her about her history for sexual victimization. And they asked specifically, now this is redacted because it's about her medical records, right? But we know she's admitted for mental health. So she has mental health issues going on, which I'm sympathetic towards.
Okay.
I am very sympathetic towards, right? Extremely sympathetic towards. But your own personal mental health issue doesn't impact somebody else's guilt or innocence, right?
Yeah.
6 months being the span that covers both the allegations and the application for the protective order, she says something, and they're going to go on more specifically, and she says something, right? This is about her mental health. A period of time preceded the interaction between the parties at all. You're going to be able to see for yourself in writing. Two, my expectation is that you're going to see the text messages, communication between the parties. It's going to give you better context on the nature of the relationship. One that was purely romantic, and one that ran its course and ended, unfortunately, because of the applicant, because of Pikachu. It's my expectation that at the end of all this evidence, the court is going to have no reservations denying the application for the order, and we're going to ask you respectfully to do so. Thank you, Mr. Puryear, Ms. Locke. Call your first witness. I call my witness, Ms. Lamar. That's Pikachu. Okay. All right, Ms. Lamar. If you'll please have a seat on the witness stand. Make yourself comfortable, and I'll swear you in. Go ahead. There's swearer in. Being duly sworn in, testify as follows. We state your name for the record, Linda Ashley Lamar. Ms. Lamar, you're the applicant in this protective order application. Is that correct? Yes. At the time you filed this application for a protective order, were you a resident of the county? I was in Williamson County at the time. Okay. And Mr. Robertson lives in Travis County. I believe he did at the time. And at the time you were living with Ms. Robertson, were you all living in Travis County? I believe so. So they're in Austin.
Okay.
And so the acts that took place, you've alleged in your protective order, took place in Travis County. Yes. And you're seeking a protective order against him. Yes. Can you tell the court why? He relentlessly harassed me and threatened to ruin my life. It's been a nightmare. I've been having to get therapy for all the obviously sexual assault and things he's done. I would like to move on and live my life and not have been consistently afraid of things he's doing or threatening me. And I want to move on and stop being scared. So I will say, I don't doubt that she has trauma in her past and that she had a traumatic past. And moving on from that is definitely the right thing to do. But going to court to solve that is not always the right solution, right?
I've not seen anything in any of this that says that he sexually assaulted anyone. I've not seen a single thing. We went through like nearly 2 hours. I've not seen a single thing that is sexual assault. I have not seen one thing. I've not seen one inkling of one thing. Nothing. I haven't seen anything. I'm like, is this really it? Please, like, I'm in an interesting place. Part of me wants there to be more to this. Like, part of me wants there to be more to this because if literally the accusation is he sexually assaulted me because I perform oral sex with my boyfriend, like, if this is really it, this girl is mentally ill, and honestly, she's the one that needs to be in jail. This is absolutely disgusting. She is willing to ruin this guy's life over a petty internet dispute and a bad breakup, and the court facilitated that. Man, that is disgusting. And I really hope that Tectone appeals this. Because I've seen nothing in this that would justify what he's going through. This, I think this is a violation of the 14th Amendment. I do. I genuinely think this is a violation of the 14th Amendment. I can't.
Move on. Someone says it's just better to let it go. But that's her story here. And in the application for the protective order, you signed a declaration. Do you recall that? Yes. Judge, forgive me, Miss Locke says. I've not practiced in front of you before. I have a digital and I have paper. I don't know if you would, how you'd like me to present, because I've got my client needs to see some evidence we're going to introduce. Do you want me to do it electronically? But I have a paper copy. Paper's fine. Are you talking about the actual declaration? Yes, the actual declaration. I do have that. Well, Judge, I'm going to move applicant's Exhibit 1, which is the actual application for the protecting order. No objections. It's moved into evidence, right? Can you turn to the page where the declaration starts, page 5? Yes, says Pikachu.
Sorry, guys. I misspoke. I didn't mean the 14th Amendment. I meant the 8th Amendment. The 8th Amendment is the one against cruel or unusual punishment. The 14th Amendment is something completely different. The 14th Amendment is about children born in the U.S.
All right, let's give the court a bit of background. What is it that you did at a time for a living when you met Mr. Robertson? At the time, I was a fairly small streamer, and I did play GTA role play online. So like voice acting and storytelling with other streamers. GTA, Grand Theft Auto. Okay, so when you say you're small streamer, can you qualify or quantify for the court in terms of what's a large streamer versus a small streamer? A large streamer would have around 5,000 viewers consistently. Well, we've got 5,000, so I guess I'm a large streamer now. Mine was maybe 200. I think at the time I had less than 100,000 followers at the time. I'm sorry, 500. You mean 500,000? Sorry, less than 100,000 at the time on Twitch. And at the time you met Mr. Robertson, how many? They're called followers, is that correct? How many did he have? Almost 1 million, right? So a lot more. All right. And what is it that Mr. Robertson did at the time you met him? He would play gotcha games. It's gotcha. They spelled this wrong. It's gotcha. They spelled gotcha wrong, which is like Chinese gambling games, like with anime girls and characters like that. I love when they explain these things to normies. It's great. Yeah, it's gotcha, guys. It's gotcha. Right?
You play gotcha
spelled like
games.
that.
Yeah.
Legal mindset, now a large streamer, confirmed by random court document. I know. I love it. We're big gotcha streamers in Austin. And boy, that's good money. That's eating good. And that was from doing what in particular, if you know? He was streaming the games, and then he was also part of a very large gaming organization called One True King. They basically had all the largest streamers in Austin, and they had a lot of control over the space. And just because I don't know, is Austin a large market for streamers? It is a large market for some of the largest streamers. I don't live in Austin, right? But and I never will live in Austin, right? Yeah,
I don't live in Austin
100K.
either.
Yeah, exactly. Legally defined as a large streamer. Yes, thank you, Jin Blaze, for the 20 Norwegian. Yeah. Okay. And what are some? And it's OTK. Is that correct? All right. And Mr. Robinson was a member of OTK. Yes. Were you a member? Absolutely not. Really not like an OTK. Why not? I was way too small, a nobody in that sense. The people that belonged to OTK, how many followers did these particular individuals have? Millions. Okay. And how was Mr. Robertson at that level of millions? I believe he was on his way. All right. So when did you meet Mr. Robertson? I had a friend that I reached out to because we were supposed to, I guess, have some lunch thing. And he's like, he likes anime and, should reach out. You seem really cool. And so I reached out on Twitter and he wanted to hang out right away. So we began a friendship. This is what we saw in the evidence. And this is, once again, it seemed very platonic. It seemed very wholesome.
So she reached out to him. Okay.
Wholesome when he was reaching out. And so you heard opposing counsel indicate that you pursued him and wanted to get into a relationship. Was it accurate? No. So she's saying that he wanted the relationship, not her. All right, tell the court what is the accurate version of you getting together. I told him I didn't want to date at the time. I would never date a streamer. That's actually probably a good advice, although I understand why streamers date streamers because it's a weird lifestyle. That's why I was currently on online dating apps because I wanted to date a little bit outside. I tried talking to somebody in the streaming space and I wasn't really sure about it. And he then had me sit in his bathroom one time and had like a very emotional conversation and kind of use that as a leverage to convince me to try to date him. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This bitch is pathetic. Oh my gosh. So, oh my gosh. So, guys, Tectone's crime here is that he tried to pursue this girl and convince her to be his girlfriend, but apparently this girl has zero brains and zero agency, and she can't make a decision on her own. Like, this is such an infantilized, ridiculous thing where he's talking to her about his issues, but that's leverage. Like, really? Let me just be honest. To the feminist judge, the completely biased feminist judge, how on earth do you reconcile the fact that you think women are strong and empowered, and also the fact that you think that they're fucking retards? You think that they're retarded. So a guy tells you a story about a sad moment in his life, and I'm just a poor dumb woman. I'm just overcome by my emotions. I can't be thinking. No, it's too much work. I just gotta give him what he wants. Like, are you for real? So this guy is hanging out with her. She's coming over to his house. He's trying to, get closer to her. Maybe he's attracted. He likes her. He has he had a crazy bitch of an ex-wife. Crazy, insane lady. Maybe he just wants he wants a relationship. And he's trying to pursue her. She keeps coming over to his house. By the way, if she didn't want to date him, why did she move in with him? Like, this whole thing is batshit. The moment that you actually start to think and read this is offensive on so many fucking levels. This is disgusting on so many levels. The fact that she would file this lawsuit, the fact that the court would entertain this lawsuit, the fact that they would grant the protection order, the fact that they would go after Tectone after all the shit that he's been through is absolutely despicable. It is a stunning indictment of our system. You chose to go to his house. You chose to move into his house. You chose to say yes to being his girlfriend. Everything that happened was your choice, and now you want the court, and now you want society to say that you're the victim? Fuck you. You are a disgusting, terrible person. And here's the deal. I'm having a tough time because Freem was awful. Freem was terrible. But maybe some of the stuff Freem said about Pinkachu, maybe that was the truth. Maybe some of the stuff that she said, maybe that was true. I don't know. But it is insane to me that anyone could look at this and go, "Oh no, Tectone's the villain." He let this girl stay at his house rent free. Like, if it's true that he demanded that she give blowjobs for rent, she could have just moved out. None of this is true. I don't believe a word of this. And I'm dismayed that we have a court system like this. This is insane.
And how did it go from convincing you to dating him to moving in together? He told me, he said that I could change your life. I'm in OTK. I have connections. You should just move in with me. You won't have to pay rent and I'll help you and you will try to help me. He's like, I'll get you, here's some vitamins. And he was like, I'll change your life and we'll get better. And he kept telling me he's going to change my career. And
so he's telling you what he has to offer as a man. As a man, here's what I have to offer you. Here's what I could do. So he's not forcing you. He's offering you an opportunity. You see the opportunity. You go, wow, this is really kind of enticing. This is really kind of enticing. And then you took it. you took it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's appealing to authority to try and destroy Tectone. Everything that she did is her own choice and her own fault. Tectone didn't force her. She wasn't a poor, dumb, oh, doe-eyed girl. I couldn't do nothing. No, you made a series of choices. Tectone saying, hey, look, if you dated me, if I could definitely help your career. We could work together. Like, him proposing this is not abuse. It's not assault. This is insane.
And is it a big deal belonging to OTK? Absolutely, it's huge. Okay, just so the court understands, why is that? Because they pretty much in control of Austin and make or break your career, whether you get invited to collaborations or sponsorships. They also have control, and the owners own one of the largest management companies that I was also part of at the time, or got me into because there was a promise he said he could do. Okay, do you know what Mr. Robertson's role in OTK was? He was a core member. He was what? A core member. What is a core? What does that mean? They're the main members that represent the organization. So what was your understanding of the authority he had within OTK? He literally got invited to everything. He could get you into parties. Oh, parties. Woo. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. He could get you into collaborations. Then obviously he was working with Mythic Talent and he could get you into Mythic Talent. As somebody who works for Mythic, I think Mythic gets you into Mythic, but okay, sure. You can have a recommendation, but yeah, anyways. And it's huge if you're wanting to get new money in sponsorships. What is Mythic Talent? It is, I believe, Mr. Robertson that has a part of or some type of ownership in it, and another member owns it. It's just like a media management where they manage creators and give them sponsorships and collaborations. And what promises, if any, did Mr. Robertson make to you about your career if you moved in with him? He said he could come on my stream, like it will be a good dynamic, and having what he explained to me, having a hot cosplay girl living in his house. And what was the arrangement that you had before you moved in regards to rent? I just said I would help him with some thumbnails. So is my assumption. It would be just helping him because I do graphic design and media. So like I make his thumbnails and edited some things for him. Just so the record is clear, what are thumbnails? He posts things like YouTube videos. I'll go into Photoshop and create graphic design for him. Okay, and at some point, did the arrangement for rent change? It changed after we went into Chestnut Ridge. And what happened? It went from make this thumbnail to me. He kept telling me to suck his dick. So, swear jar. At that point, he would say, do your job. You don't pay rent. And these are the words that I remember, that I clearly remember. And soon after, and Chestnut was in Austin, Texas. Is that right? Yes. And now soon after you moved into Chestnut address, did the activity start occurring with Mr. Robertson? Pretty much right away. I didn't have any inclinations of like issues until we moved in to that home. Okay. And how soon after you moved in did the issues begin? Pretty much right away. I think once he said that in particular, I felt disgusted. I told him I wanted to pay rent. And that's why soon after, towards the end, I believe of February, I started paying rent. I gave him $1,000. I said I didn't like that dynamic. It made me feel disgusting. And so you recall that you moved into that address. Yes, I remember earlier February. And that would have been 2003, 2000.
Wait a minute. So this guy, apparently this creep, lures you into the house and goes, well, you don't pay rent, you better suck my dick. And your thing is, well, no, I don't want to suck your, oh my gosh, how dare you? I think I'd just rather pay rent. You didn't leave? You didn't move out? Like, if it were me, I'd immediately move out. And by the way, people saying, well, she didn't have a choice. Of course she did. Oh, anyone has a choice in that situation. They weren't married. She literally went from one place to there. She could have easily just moved out. Like, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I feel uncomfortable. Sorry, you're not who I thought you're not who I thought you were. And then left. No. She's like, well, I'm gonna pay rent, but I still want to live in your mansion. I still want to live in your house. I still want to work for you. I still want the clout that you offer. I still want all the stuff. This whole thing is crazy. This is so nuts. The way that these feminists work is we're strong, we're powerful, we're the sisterhood, girl. Let me snap my fingers. But then at the same time, we're victims, we're stupid, we can't do anything, we can't leave, we don't have any sort of accountability on our own. Oh, court system, oh, great court system, please save, oh my gosh. This is so ridiculous. And the judge in this case should feel embarrassed. Like, if you're like a pro-woman activist judge, and you look at the situation and you think that you're helping the woman by infantilizing her and treating her like she's an idiot who can't think for herself. That's crazy.
2004, 2003. So after he made that demand, you said no and started paying rent. Yes. All right. So you started paying rent. Can you recall when? I believe in February of 2023. Okay. Do you recall, did you consistently pay rent until you moved out of the residence? Yes, but it wasn't consistent. He changed the pricing a lot. What was the highest amount of rent? 4,000. 4,000? Yes. What were the circumstances that he raised your rent from 1,000 to 4,000? He told me that I would be moving into the next home and start having me pay double rent when I'm starting making more money. Were there any demands for sexual acts when the rent went up? I believe at the time it was more of an obligation. You mean sex was an obligation? Witness nods head. Can you describe for me what that meant to the court? Like, for example, after I had my breast surgery, I couldn't do it for him. He would get very upset because I had to lay up straight. Am I allowed to talk about the situation? Yes. So hang on. You suffer from what? Anxiety, right? And you're also on the spectrum, autism spectrum. Yes. All right. So you were taking breasts, to calm yourself down. Is that right? Yes. So let's talk about what happened. When did you get your breast augmentation? In late 2023, when I had got them redone in 2024, earlier in 2024. So she got the titty surgery, right? Gotcha. Thank you. Elpa Ava says, Pink making Tectone sound like Harvey Weinstein, JFC. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is making him sound like that. Alan Paley for Canadian 100. Thank you. Welcome back. Hashtag Crying Boys Club. Love that. Last time my wife and I were building a Wally and Ava Lego set. I suspect I'll never be able to analyze the plot of Wally without ugly crying. It's some man stuff. I know. And people can say what they want to say about me having my struggles with depression. And if you don't have bipolar disorder or you don't have it, and especially if you haven't walked a mile in my shoes and dealt with what I'm dealing with, I have a lot of personal stuff I'm dealing with, other stuff I'm dealing with, stuff I'm depressed about. And dealing with getting the energy to stream and knowing how hard that is. I really don't care what anybody thinks, right? It's difficult, and I have sympathy for people that are going through similar situations, right? I do. And it really tears me up that all of you guys support me throughout the hard times I'm going through, and it is very inspiring that I have 5,500 people watching me on the show as I go through documents and get back into it. So thank you guys. I love you all. I appreciate you, really. I genuinely do. Zero Chaos Hedgehog Zero for €5 says, tell us the accurate version. Sounds like the judge decided the techie's lying. Yes. Wouldn't your version be? Yes, that's absolutely correct. That's not a good way to frame it. So she got her tits done. Okay. This was in May of 2024. This is after revision. The revision part. This was a revision part that this incident occurred. So in May of 2024, tell the court what happened. I was lying in my bed, and my doctor told me I had to sit up straight, like I can't lie down or to the side or anything because I still had stitches and was taking heavy medication. He was getting very unruly, like upset that I couldn't give him blowjobs during my healing period. Okay, so when you said you would get upset and unruly, can you describe what that would actually do? He'd be like, so you think you can suck my dick? Or he was just very annoyed. I guess it's a good word for him, very annoyed. And in this incident, I was laying in bed. And he's like, do you think you could still suck my dick? And I was like, I told you I can't. Like the doctor said I have to lay up straight, so I'm going to lay up straight. And I'm like, no, not right now. I'm really sorry. I can't do that for you because I felt he made me feel bad about it. What happened next? He grabbed my shoulders and put me over his stomach and began jerking off onto my face and told me to stick my tongue out until he came on my face. Did you consent to him doing that? No. I told him I can't. I think after that point, I think he was just kind of in shock. Like I think there's just some circumstances I say no, and I assume that's enough. I have to say no, that I can't. So this is obviously one of the things at issue here. This is, yeah. I was under a lot of medication, and I think that it was just scared that it was going to mess up any of the stitches that I had currently healing. Okay, had there been another incident like that before we had some kind of cosmetic procedure and you're required to do the same? Yes. Real quick. Only waifu YouTuber gives 50 legal mindset memberships, 100% based. Hold on.
Not a sin. I cannot absolve you. Mega based.
Mega based. Thank you so much for that. Also, let's see. Ben Cannon should cry. Love your mindset. Yeah, I know. It's once again, it is not a sin, right? It is not a sin. Only waifu YouTuber for Argentina 2000 said, quick rundown of the drama. What happened between Pink and Tectone? I mean, we're going into this. They dated formally, and this is over a temporary protective order that was granted. Once again, the burden of proof is against Tectone here. So this was eventually granted, but understand that he had to prove it shouldn't be granted. There was an activist judge involved, and the Johnny Cochran, the very she's good of lawyers on Pikachu's side here, painting a story about SA, and leave it up to you guys. We're going to read through this whole thing, this 225-page document on what's going on here and whether this is a justified situation or not. Right? Okay. And I give a summary because, well, you super chat me, so I'm a lawyer. All right. So Okay. Had there been another incident like that before you did comments procedures? Yes. Okay. When was that? Can you recall? So they had to look at the affidavit, right? Okay. I can't recall. I think the last incident, I got it mixed up with this date because I read the date. It was in May of 2024. All right. So what happened in May of 2024? Oh, okay. I had just gotten my lips done. They were swollen and painful. Like you could still see the injection sites. And he asked me to suck his dick, swear jar. And I said no, that it would ruin my lip injections because, if you wouldn't let them settle, it will migrate. He said, oh, but it's really hot. It's really hot when they're swollen like that and they look all big and fat. And I'm like, I can't because it's going to mess up my face. And because this happened when we were lying in the bed, he put my face and he made me suck his dick. Okay. When you would say that he made you, I know this is difficult. Can you describe the actions he took to force you? He grabbed the back of my head and put it to his dick and told me to open my mouth and suck his dick. Okay. He made public comments about this as well, and I believe they're in my timeline. Okay, well, we'll get to a public comments in a minute. But did you end up having issues with your lip filler? Yes. So because of that.
So, I mean, like, I don't even know where to start. I got to be honest. I don't even. All right. So, let me just say something. Getting lip injections may be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Getting lip injections, I think that solidifies you as pretty much one of amongst the biggest whores in the world, attention whores, whatnot. But like at every step of this, and by the way, you're in a relationship. He didn't force you to do anything. Like the idea that he forced that is just nonsense. She could like this whole thing seems ridiculous, and I'm interested to hear what his side of it is. But I mean, everywhere you look as it relates to this story, there's just a new layer, a new level of bullshit and lack of accountability for women. And it just, if I were a feminist, I would be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed. Oh, you have no agency to get up and leave. Tectone's not the type of person that's going to hurt you or anything. Like, we know that to be true. Like, his ex-wife did unspeakable things to him. And he didn't do anything. Like, this is not a violent guy. And, like, the way that they're trying to make this guy out is just insane. But, I mean, the lip injections, the fakeness, tells me everything I need to know about this girl. The fakeness.
That it did migrate. And I complained to him multiple times afterwards that what he did caused the migration. And he's like, oh, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look that bad. It's not a big deal is what he would say. And what did you have to have done, if anything, to correct that? I had to get them dissolved and then fixed. Let's talk about that a little bit in the relationship. Did you have your own room at the residence? I was paying for one room, and because the other roommate, he would complain that the other roommate wasn't paying rent all the time. So he told me. So I offered to pay for another room to help pay for the rent because he complained about money a lot. Question, did you at all, I guess, cohabitate in the same bedroom? Yes. He had me sleep with him a lot because he always mentioned that with his schizophrenia, he was afraid to sleep alone. And I felt guilty and bad if I didn't. I understand that. I mean, some people like to sleep together. If I have a partner, I generally like to sleep together with them. But, if they don't want to, and there's people that don't like to sleep together, that's understandable as well. Maxtinius Decimus says, everyone has their own issues. Sending you love from Canada. Favorite word of mine is sonder. That everyone is living their own vivid, complex life. That's exactly right. And nobody knows what your life is. They're not walking in your shoes, right? So they don't know how complicated your life is, right? They have no freaking clue. Okay. So he admitted you as schizophrenic. Yes, publicly. And he's actually done so on his streams, right? Yes. Which nothing wrong with talking about your mental health issues. Does it know if any medication he takes for schizophrenia? He said he used to take them when he was younger, but he didn't like that. I guess it didn't make him himself, so he didn't take it anymore. Now, I can understand this because when you're on medication, it can have really bad effects. I was taking I'll talk about this. I was taking something last year that would make me really sleepy, like it made me like a hangover. Like it made me super sleepy and I couldn't get any work done, right? And then it would leave me with like a hangover effect the next day. Really weird, right? So sometimes you'll be on a medication and then you'll stop taking that medication because the side effects are really weird, right? That is something that does happen, right? So when, are you aware, and does this go back to you when you're living together? He was taking any medications that you're aware of for his schizophrenia? No. Okay. Did you ever see him take any schizophrenia, have any schizophrenic episodes? Many. Okay. Can you describe for the court what it's like when you would have a schizophrenic episode? He mentioned one time he was driving with his friend Jimmy and almost crashed his car because he saw somebody behind him. I guess speaking to him, he sees people walking around as well as he would get scared because he'd see versions of myself giving myself suicide around the house. Versions of you? Yes, that my face would be melting when he looked at me and it would scare him. That's crazy. And that would mess with you, right? If you've ever, had any sort of episode that's serious. Fair to range for 2 said, just don't have a polycule while downing drugs. Okay. Let's go and continue here. And he never went and sought psychiatric care for the best of your knowledge. No. I tried to tell him many times, especially because he told me he almost crashed his car and a lot of these issues where he was consistently afraid or paranoid. Did you at all in your relationship ever have traditional like vaginal sex? No. So they never had traditional sex. And that's one of the complaints here. Why not? He told me because of trauma. Then he mentioned his ex-wife, but I don't know if I can go into that. There's an NDA related to that particular lawsuit, right? He had her sign an NDA, so we won't talk about the details of that. But what else did he tell you about why you didn't engage in traditional vaginal oral sex? You gotta be traditional. You gotta be, hey, listen, legally, you've got to engage in missionary position legally under the law. No, that's not actually a thing, guys. You don't have to. Spoiler alert: you do not have to engage in sex in a particular way. That does not make you a criminal.
Let me just say this. Everything that I've seen from this, everything that I've learned from this, it hasn't made me want to distance myself from Tectone. It's made me feel bad for Tectone. And it's not like, oh man, we need to pity this guy. But what this guy has gone through in his life, we're about to see. He said his sister molested him when he was younger. What his ex-wife did. This guy has been through an inordinate amount of shit. And I feel bad. I feel bad for brother. I want to get him to church. I want to get him to church because there are people there who will help him, who are good, solid people. Like that was part of why I was so interested. I want to get him to church. I want him to develop a relationship with God so that he has something to lean on, because this is horrible. What this guy's got, this guy needs a protective order from a whole hell of a lot of people. And you know what? Let me just say, all things considered, based on what we see here, I think that Tectone turned out pretty well, all things considered. Like, it's crazy. People want to call him an asshole. I'm a bigger asshole than he is. But what this guy has had to go through, like, it would crush a lot of other people. It would break them. And the guy is still out there doing his thing, trying his best. Like, I don't know. Everything that I read from this, I'm not angry at Tectone. I'm angry at the people that have treated him this way. So I would say to offer a prayer to Tectone. Not to Tectone, for Tectone. We want to clear that up. You're not praying to Tectone. You're praying to God for Tectone. Because, like, this guy has been in the shit. I mean, seemingly for a lot of his life. And he's been wildly successful. The fact that the guy comes out and is as charismatic and personable as he is with all of those issues, like, that is incredible.
Right. But traditional is best. Traditional's pretty good. Anyways, go trad, like Danielle said. Danielle's very trad. All right. Let's go here. And did you ever kiss like a normal relationship? We did hug a lot, but he was not a fan of kissing because he said he would get a lot of saliva in his mouth. That's sorry, that's making me get saliva in my mouth. Okay, sorry. So consistently, anyone who knows him is that he spits all the time when he walks around. And what did he ask you instead of traditional? Well, speaking of spitting, let me just pack it up. Let me pack us in right here. Speaking of spitting right here, AI mod doesn't like traditional things. Wait, is the AI mod on Kick blocking you? Okay, sorry guys. Sorry, the AI mod's hating on you right now. I can only control so much, right? We got to get these overactive salivary glands going. Okay. So he asked you, and what did he ask you to do instead of traditional kissing? Multiple times, he would ask if he could spit in my mouth. Okay. Okay. It's not criminal. It's not criminal. It's definitely another thing, though. It's definitely a different thing. Okay. And what was your response to him? No, I have a personal disgust for like spit stuff myself. All right. And were there any interactions where he was physical with you to engage in retaliation that would make you happy? Never. So did he ever have his hands ever physically touching you under your pants? Not under my pants. No. Okay. So I'm sorry to be explicit, but his hands never touched your vagina. Is that right? Okay. I guess I have to put one in there for that. Hold on. No. Did his penis ever touch your vagina? Never. So there was no penis to vagina that happened at all, right? It's a kink, right? Once again, kinks are kinks, right? And so the only activity was blowjobs, was me giving him blowjobs. So maybe, okay, lesson here. Maybe this could have been diverted if you just went down on her every once in a while, right?
Oh, come on.
Maybe if it was some reciprocation.
Come on, I mean, come on. You can't do my boy like that. Come on, no.
There, this could have all been averted. Like if he just, as they say in Game of Thrones, gave the lordly kiss.
Gosh.
Right? I don't know. I'm just speculating here. That's speculation. Speculation. Okay. Yeah, giving her the Spock. Yeah, I don't know. How often did he record you during blowjobs? I would say 40% of the time. Okay. And did he do so with your consent? There was, I could say maybe 2 or 3 times where he asked and then it got to the point where he didn't ask. Well, okay, but that's presumptive consent.
Yeah.
So if you're allowing somebody to do that, that's
like this thing of, well, yeah, I said yes, and then he kept you don't get to say, well, I withdrew consent, but I never told him. It's ridiculous.
Typically presumptive consent, right? If you've done that before, it's like this is the consent, right? So you'd have to kind of like revoke that presumptive consent. There were times I didn't like it and I would squint my eyes and he would get upset and delete the recording and start recording. And he's like, I need you to open my eyes, make noises, stick your tongue out. I don't want to do it, but like making a huffing, moaning noise. Look at the camera and look like you like it is what he would tell me, and he would re-record again. And he did everything else with regards to oral sex with him that you disliked. I really didn't like cum, and so much. All right.
Oh, like this isn't rape. This isn't sexual assault. Like this is nothing. This is, oh my God, we shouldn't be reading this. This is literally nothing. Oh my gosh. I have never seen so much fuss made over nothing. It's a girl that had preferences that didn't articulate them, and in a relationship, she didn't have good communication. And she's trying to make a legal case out of it. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Guys, oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say. Like, Tectone, he's somehow coming out of this. I thought that I would be criticizing Tectone a whole heck of a lot more. But everything that I see from Tectone, everything that I see that he did, seems relatively normal in terms of a secular relationship where a guy and a girl are both, they're both consenting. He forced himself. No, you engage willingly with a bunch of this stuff. You didn't verbalize your preferences and things that you wanted, and now your head has been filled with this poisonous rot that Tectone is a bad guy, or that he didn't. And honestly, I think that this girl needs to be punished in accordance with the law. I think that this is a frauding of the American people. I think that this girl should go to jail. This is some of the most gutter trash, retarded, dishonest bimbo behavior I've ever seen. And the fact that the court sided with her is insane.
Okay. I'm just going to put another one in the swear jar for I didn't like cum. All right. I didn't like cum. And so that's going to be clipped out of context, by the way. And so with much of the spit thing, just personal trauma, I didn't like it. And so he would always want to try to, like his goal, I guess, was to get me to swallow his cum a lot. There's like a lot of the times I would just gag.
I mean, like, that's normal for guys. I've had friends that are like, yeah, that I kind of like that. This seems to me to be normal for secular people that don't really have the same grounding principles as somebody who's Christian. Like, that's normal. And she's sharing all of this intimate stuff. None of this is sexual assault. None of this is bad. None of this is an indictment of Tectone. This is an indictment of our society. It's an indictment of Pinky Chew. It's an indictment of the court, the lawyer. I mean, this is shameful.
Gag a lot. So is this where the gag reflex surgery comes in? Okay. I would just tell him that I really don't like it, and he wanted to make it a goal to get me to do it. And how did he convey that to you? Like he wanted that it was his goal. He's like, oh, you just got to keep doing it, and you'll get used to it. Did he ever make you write anything on your face? Yes. Can you tell the court about it? He told me to go into the bathroom, and I believe there was a derogatory word of slut on my forehead and come here with an arrow pointing to my mouth. Once again, listen, you don't have to, it's not illegal or unconsensual. If you would agree to that sort of stuff. Yeah, but yeah, okay, let's just proceed with this. Let's proceed with this. And he said, if I did that, then we'd have a normal sexual relationship and we'll have normal sex if I did. Okay. So that's where she's using bait and switch. And I guess in my head, I thought if I did it, we'd just have a normal relationship. So she's thinking, so in her mind, the core issue is they didn't have traditional vaginal sex. That's the core issue, is she was not getting well, I'll just put this, as they say in the community, dicked down enough. Okay, I just want to get to the core issue here. Right, Kay's Wolf pretends says, my English might be off, but his hands never touch your kitty. Is that right? No, didn't she just basically say that before mentioned statement was inaccurate by saying no? Is that right? Let me see. Sorry. Break, please. Let's take a recess, right? So they do a recess, they come back. I follow her on IG. She's done several videos spitting at the camera and having her tongue out as far as possible. Something ain't right. If you'll do it for OnlyFans and Fansly.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. Apparently, she will spit and stick her tongue out and do all this demeaning stuff for people on OnlyFans and people on IG, but not for her boyfriend. Yes, this is insane. This is absolutely mental. I've never been more sure of myself than after watching this. The entire narrative around this is so despicable and disgusting and one-sided. People, you guys, I don't talk much about this. I have been inundated with messages with people saying, you need to call out Tectone more. You need to rebut him. I've had people that have demanded that I disavow Tectone. He's a rapist. And I never have. I've never even tempted to do it. But this just solidifies that my instinct was right. This is a lying whore who is getting spoon-fed poison into her ear and just accepting it. I think that this person should be held in contempt of court. I think they should go to jail. I think they should be punished for this. This is a liar. This is a manipulative bitch, and she honestly is probably up there amongst some of the most disgusting people I've seen online. Now, I'm not saying that she's as bad as Freem. Few women are disgusting his frame. But going through this, like, this is another level of just pure and total manipulation. She's a liar.
And you're consenting to it there. I do have some questions, right? If you're going to do it for your OnlyFans, you'll probably do it elsewhere. It's okay. Take a breath. I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm sorry. Break, please. Let's take a recess, right? So they do a recess. They come back. Miss Lamar, he told you that he would have a normal relationship if you did a particular act. Is that right? Yes. Okay. At any point, did you all have normal relationship? No. So she's defining that as vaginal sex, right? She's defining it as vaginal sex. At what point did the relationship start to unravel or get close to ending? We had a talk and mutually decided to end it, I believe, on his side. And soon after, we had a talk and got back together, and then I ended the relationship after. All right. And you all had discussions. He would address your mental health, right? Yes. He said that whenever I had complaints about how he was treating me or anything, he said that because I'm autistic, my version of reality is not like normal people. And they would have to explain to me what was going on. You all had a journal. Is that right? You had a journal. I kind of just started one. He had me write a list of things he said that were wrong with me that he said I needed to give a psychiatrist. Well, some people do need to go to a psychiatrist. I mean, I'll say this for myself. I used to be a big hater on therapy. I go to therapy now. It helps a lot, right? So, you should go to a medical professional. I think it is smart if you have a problem. It can help. And he later graded me on things he thinks I need to work on. And what did he say that you needed to go to see a psychiatrist for? For my memory recollection was incorrect. That's very possible. I have that. It's happened sometimes too, where I misremember something or I remember it my way, right? False memories. I kind of falsify the memory. Mr. MC 2003 said, a lot is being said. I'm not taking it in like she was, I guess. Yeah, it's different, right? Okay. All right. So let's continue here. Miss Locke says, okay, I sent a copy of this, but this is an actual journal. Miss Locke said, would seeing the journal help you refresh your recollection? Yes. May I approach? Yes. So they give her the journal. And they review it to refresh her recollection. Now, do you remember what it was said that he was complaining with you regards to you and your mental state? He said it was immature, that my memory recollection was incorrect, and that my phrasing, that he said would say things and that I would phrase it incorrectly, that I lacked communication skills. Well, if you're autistic, then that's probably true. That I was depressed and dooming a lot, that I wasn't a positive person, that I didn't take accountability, that I was not independent enough, that I was paranoid and had no emotional control. These things might or might not be true, right? Williams May says, answer this. Why would she lie? All she asked for was the protective order. So what is she gaining for lying? Great job poisoning the well. The protective order. So the protective order itself, the main thing I see the value from that with the protective order for her, and the reason why I think she went for it is to stop the online comments. And I said earlier, if you didn't catch this, in my kind of criticism of Tectone, is he probably should have shut up about this online. I don't know the history of him talking about this online, and I don't have all the Carfax on him talking about this online, but he probably should have shut up about it online. And perhaps if he shut up about it online, this would have never happened, right? Perhaps. So that's my critique of Tectone right there, is that to the extent that he talked about the stuff online, it should have been kind of kept as private as possible, right? But we're going to get the testimony from both sides here. Okay. So let's go here. Did he accuse you of being schizophrenic? It felt like it at times. Okay. Well, what is your actual, like sitting here today, your actual mental health diagnosis? I am autistic and have anxiety disorder. Okay. You've not been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was misdiagnosed and correctly diagnosed with autism. And I was diagnosed with autism twice by psychiatrists and medical professionals. Okay. So they replaced bipolar with autism spectrum disorder. Okay. That was a primary care doctor. He gave me I think you have, but it wasn't a psychiatrist. And then when I went to see a psychiatrist, I got correctly diagnosed. That's very important. And there's been a discussion of hospitalization you had. Do you require that? Yes. All this, you went to Austin Oaks. It's a mental health facility, right? Yes. Did you did so voluntarily, or were you forced to do so? I think because the situation I was in, I just wanted to get out. I think because of the list he gave me, I went to an online doctor, told them that the list of things he told me to tell her. So she gave me medications that would make me just shake. And because obviously I'm not schizophrenic or anything, so it didn't work for me. And I just needed to get out. I needed to get out of the house. When you did that online appointment, was he there with you when you did the online appointment? No, but he had me write a list of things I needed to tell her. Okay, and what medication did the doctor prescribe? I believe it was something, right? And did that work for you in any way? No. I tried to tell him, oh, it's great, it's fine. But I would tell my assistant, it's like, this is making me shake. I didn't like the way it makes me feel. Yeah, some of these medications are not good, right? Are not good. I'm here for the scuff. Sorry, I'm late. Well, you're the one who scuffed today. I'm here for the scuff. I mean, All I'm saying is,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Wilbsme says, I think she makes more money with him than OF. Probably. I would think that she makes a lot of money with OF and Fansling, but who knows? Some people don't. Are you currently taking it? Absolutely not. And so the Austin Oaks, where do you go after? How long were you there? 3 days. And what was your discharge instructions? Just blank. I can't remember what it was, but I got decided to go ahead and see a therapist. And did you actually have any acts there, or did you intentionally self-harm? No. So what was the reason you went? I need to get out of the house. I think at the time I was just confused. Like I knew something in my gut was wrong. Like I was being treated, but he was telling me otherwise. And I was just confused. And I called my sister and I told them I needed to just get out. I just needed to see somebody. I needed to get out of this place. I calmly packed up my clothes, told my roommate, hey, I'm going to be leaving. I'm not feeling good. And my sister drove me and I went there and said, hey, there's nothing we can really do. You're fine. But if you want, you can admit yourself to get evaluated. Okay. So did you self-admit? Yes. And when you were discharged or left Austin Oaks, did you go back into the same residence, Mr. Robertson? No. Okay, where did you go after that? I went to my mom's. I did go to his house to collect items that when he wasn't there, and that's when I confided in at this time, his roommate, that I guess that was going to be moving in. I said, I'm afraid of him. I'm really scared. I'm going to go ahead and stay at my mom's because I can't be there. And you heard opposing counsel indicate in the opening that you didn't make any reference to Mr. Robertson being abusive when you went to Austin Oaks. Did you recall him saying that? I'm sorry, I'll rephrase. Did you recall opposing counsel in his opening statements making comments that you didn't mention anything about Mr. Robertson when you were in Austin Oaks? Yes, I remember. Okay, when was it that you first recalled what was going on was like sexual assault? It was after I moved my stuff out and I talked to him, an online friend, and I felt safe enough to speak to someone about what?
Yep. So this chick starts talking about Tectone, starts talking about a relationship. Bitch is a psycho. And then her online friend is like, wow, you were sexually assaulted. What a monster he is. What a monster he is. Like, I cannot even begin to tell you. Like, this is part of the problem that I actively fight against. That you consented at the time. You were in full cognizant faculties. You may be retarded, but being a woman is not an excuse. You knew what you were doing. You consented, and now after the fact, some retard is filling your head with poison and telling you that it was sexual assault, and now you're like, oh well, yeah, maybe it was. This is ridiculous. This should be against the law to do what she's doing.
The events that occurred. Okay, and you had contact with law enforcement regarding these allegations? Yes. When did you make contact with law enforcement? Oh, you mind if I look? You can look at your affidavit. So look at here. January 2025. I filed a police report, right? Okay. Police report. Now remember, this is the criminal side, right? Once again, he was not criminally convicted, right? What's the current status of that? Because of the harassment, I had to suspend it. That's not really true. The police dropped that. Right. But anyways, what did law enforcement want you to do with regards to the phone call to Mr. Robertson, a preliminary call? And was it a pretext call? Yes. All right. And what is your understanding of what you're supposed to do on that call? Call him and get him to talk about the things he did to me. All right. And were you able to do so? No, because he was threatening me and harassing me publicly and I was scared. We'll get back to that in a second. But you did not follow along with what law enforcement was wanting to do? No. I did what was recommended by the counselor that was there with me. All right. So she literally did a call. She literally did a call with him to try to get him to admit to SA. Right. So she called him up and was like trying to get on the phone in that conversation, like USA'd me, right? But didn't get that information. At the same time that Mr. Robertson started posting on, what was it? Is it Twitter or X? I don't know. It was Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. He did all three. That's stupid. So this is my criticism of Tectone. Here's my criticism of Tectone. He should not have posted about this. He shouldn't have. That was stupid. That was very stupid. To the extent he did that, that was dumb. Tank Rat, remember, for 44 months says, yo, what's up, Andrew? How's the stream tonight? Any bombshells I missed? Well, it's going well tonight, Tank Rat. We're getting into this. We've already had some talk about oral stuff and no vaginal stuff and giving her the Spock. Like it's been an interesting conversation so far, but we're not done yet. Starting in January of 2025, what did he start doing with regards to the online platforms? He started before then. He started, I believe, in November and started the threats in 2024. And what kind of threats was he making online? I have a timeline of everything. But mainly, I'm going to sue you. He also made threats, which is legal. He can do that. I don't think it's a good idea. And by the way, suing people is not the best solution to your problems. Also, He made threats he's going to ruin me, that everyone was going to know the truth and he was going to come after me, that there was an explicit material that he shared with multiple people that he was going to post online if I don't retract my statements. And it's almost 200 pages of it. Question, you asked him to do when you first broke up. What did you actually ask him to do with regards to the videos? Answer, I asked him multiple times in multiple circumstances, please delete any sexual footage you have of me because I know some of it was non-consensual. He would make collages of my videos and things like that, and it was disturbing. So he essentially was making a spank bank, right? He was making a spank bank. Fatima Mahalati said, wait, did she just say she never did the call? Why would you say she did? No, let me go back up. So there was and it was a pretext call. There was a preliminary call that was made to Tectone. So it was made, but she didn't get the information out of that call that she wanted to get out of that call. That's the point. It didn't give her what she needed to criminally prosecute him, right? That's why they dropped it. So sitting here today, you have no idea if he still has those videos.
So they didn't get the information they wanted, and they said that there's no information here, and then they basically dropped the case. So, in essence, this whole thing is bullshit. This entire thing boils down to a girl that didn't like certain things and didn't articulate them in the relationship. She had mental problems, and then she's taking it out on Tectone. That really seems to be what the deal is. Because this whore will write anything on her forehead, spit, or stick out her tongue for her OnlyFans. But apparently, for her boyfriend at the time, it was too much. Like, this is so ridiculous. And the fact is, you have people trying to virtue signal off of this and go after him. But, I mean, like, this is nothing. This is actually nothing.
Yes, I'm not aware if he does or not. Are you concerned about what he'll do if he has those? Yes. What are your concerns? He'll post them online publicly, continue to share them with more people, as he stated. Possibly, I just don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that. Has he threatened you with putting those out? Yes. If he really did that, if Tectone really did that, that's not good. Yeah. But anyways, has he done so? I don't know the exact verbiage. It's in the timeline of what he said in his words. Okay. Did you have any contact with an attorney in early 2025 in regards to what's going on online? Yes. I just gotten it very overwhelming because no one wanted to associate with me because he was attacking me. He attacked them as well. And I was just becoming very isolated. I kind of to rebuild my friend group with my family. Sorry. What's the question? That's okay. What was going on online that gave you to the point where you needed to hire an attorney back in 2025? Oh, yes. Even after going to the police, he would still not stop harassing me. And an attorney sent him a cease and desist telling him that I had gone to the police and he needs to leave me alone. Did that stop him? No. In fact, he went publicly and laughed about it and said, she's sent a cease and desist for defaming her, but I'm going to keep defaming her. Right. And it was February 6th of 2025. He posted a live stream on Twitch. I'm not sure of the exact date that he did that. Okay. So he made threat. And this is the judge, by the way. This is the story, the lawyer's painting here. He has made threats about going nuclear when the legal situation between you and he ends. Yes. And I believe it was at that time he was like showing his guns and things. So mind you, this protective order got his guns taken away. That's part of what's called red flag law.
Yeah, it's despicable. It's evil.
It got his guns taken away. Sigram 199 says she said she didn't make the call because harassment. Yes. Let me go here and continue. Okay, so in fact, he's indicated on social media that he's schizophrenic and is strapping, referring to weapons. Is that correct? Yes. Tell the court your concerns about his his possession of firearms. I'm afraid that if he does, obviously with the threats, he gets so upset that he will try to do something to me, especially because I do go to conventions and public things, or like he has an episode or something and is upset enough. So you filed this protective order. You first contacted an attorney in January and went to the police in January of 2025. Why is it you filed the protective order application in August? Well, it was mainly dealing with the police and preliminary call and trying to get that set up and whether that was the right move to do for my safety. And so it kind of was just kept getting pushed between the police and his threats. And in the lawsuit, I'll ask the court to take a judicial notice of filing the application, which was in August 21st. Yes, the court takes notice of that. So you guys know, judicial notice is a way to enter in evidence. You can just say the court takes judicial notice of this and it's entered. Zoom in on the dates, 8/22/2025, last year in August, right after my birthday, right? And you receive extensions of this ex parte protective order that was granted back in August. So, okay, Tectone fucked up because he talked about something that was under a protective order. That's stupid. Shouldn't have done that. Damon2772 Nomad for 2 says, I can fix it. God, let's go to A11. What does Mr. Tectone tell his followers on 9? Probably, also up there with girls with mental health issues and anxiety and depression and all sorts of other traumas and issues. I believe that in the past. Okay, judge may I approach the witness. I'm going to show you the applicants 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, so a bunch of evidence. I would ask the court to take judicial notice of the agreed protection order. No objections. They admitted into evidence. They approached the court reporter. These are true and correct copies of the extension of the orders. Let's see. I'm going to move through this kind of evidence stuff. Okay, so all the evidence is admitted. Number 9 is admitted. Number 10 is admitted. Let's see here. Applicants number 9 to 13 are admitted with no objection. So all the evidence comes in. Miss Locke, let's go to A11. What does Mr. Tectone tell his followers on 9/23/2025? So last year, September. If you think $10,000 is a lot to start VTubing, you should see how much women spend on plastic surgery to start an OnlyFans or OF. So this is the comment that is allegedly about her, right? That's allegedly about her. OF stands for OnlyFans. Yes. Do you have an OnlyFans account? Yes. When did you create OnlyFans? At the end of December 2024. All right. So Mr. Robertson knew you had an OnlyFans. He encouraged me to make one. But you are not doing any nudity in your account. Is that correct? I do not do full nudity. That means she does.
So yeah, if that's true, Tectone, that is cuck-like behavior. You do not want your women. You do not want your woman exposed to the internet. However, I don't believe this girl. Until Tectone goes, yeah, I convinced her to do that. I don't believe it. I don't believe much of what this woman says. It's ridiculous. But by the way, he encouraged me to make one. Again, these women are trying to avoid accountability. They're like, he encouraged me to make one. You made one. You did it. You made the choice to do it. You could have said no, but you didn't. Man.
It's partial nudity. I think, right? Usually that's the implication here, is that there's partial, right? All right. He encouraged you to do so. We agreed that I did not do full nudity. Okay. But he is the one who encouraged you to make it OnlyFans. I had a Fansly account at the time. OnlyFans is more stigmatized and kind of a can that can hurt your career more than having a Fansly. Okay. And what do you think is the reference to 10K to start YouTubing is? And what is the reference to? To make a VTuber model. I'm so sorry. I'm just a lawyer. To make a graphic for your streaming. Okay. All right. Let's go to 12. What does Mr. Robinson post to his audience again around the same date, 2025? Can you read that again? I made a post about this earlier, and I'm not going to need to say it again, but don't date crazy chicks. Okay, here we go. Here's the statement. Don't date crazy chicks. No, you will not fix them. No, it will not be worth it. Yes, it's fucking stupid. It's like inviting a rabid dog into your house. Sure, they might be cute, but that's got rabies and it's going to kill your ass. You won't have a partner, you'll have a liability. And if you don't stoop to their delusions, they'll turn against you and make you their next target. Find yourself a nice girl or a girl you can communicate effectively with, not an adult with the mind of a deranged psychopath. Was there any doubt who this referenced in your mind? It was me, right? Okay, how do you know it was you? There's said multiple times with my name, specifically stating my name on stream publicly that I was crazy. Are these type of messages you found to be harassing? Yes. Okay. And these are the type of messages that your attorney requests you stop? Yes. All right, let's go to 813. Tell me this. Do you do a little bit of like anime? Is that what you do? You dress up like cosplay as anime characters? Yes. Okay. So back in October 3rd of 2025, so 2 months after the protective order had been filed and the ex parte had been granted, what did he post on his socials? Don't put your dick in crazy. It's hot in anime. It's stupid as fuck in real life. That's so true. What else do you say about mental illness? You cannot fix a mental illness, bro. You cannot medicate it. It's like a crapshoot. Get someone you don't need to fix much easier. All right. Did you have any doubts about you? No. Question. No, I don't have any doubt it was about me. Okay, but I did you. How did your fans, if at all, because I don't know how this works, how did it learn that you was talking about you on social media? People in my community would let me know and tag me and at me. My friends and people in the space, because it did affect my livelihood and my consistent life, because people who work with me would technically associate with somebody who's constantly attacking, and they were afraid he would attack them as well. All right. Well, let's go to 13. I'm sorry, 14 is correct. I don't believe I have that page, but let me see it on screen. I'm sorry. There'll be this one's 15 through 21. So they all get admitted without evidence, right? And what does he say? They're going to hate what I found today. Your loss is going to be even more inevitable. Now I wait. He shouldn't have said that. And now you see these messages that he posts, like, how did you interpret them? Like, how they make the feel? Like he's going to come after me. Okay, so on the 16th, October 2025, so shortly after the protective order was filed, what does Tectone, Mr. Robertson, post yet again about this? Another OnlyFans woman lying about rape and then just moves on. No damage done, then ruin a man's life for 3 years. Why is this so common? Right? Let me read this. You know how small Hassan is jerking into this. Oh, yeah, he's going to love this one. Fellas, brothers, my bros, you can't fix her. I know. Kay says, I will never try to fix her. My dad always taught me to not stick it in crazy. And we all make that mistake. B Dunk 1, get their membership. Thank you so much. And Ferrick says she's fixable phlebotomy and enough lithium. Whoa. Lithium poisoning can occur. Yes, exactly. And why did you believe so? What he does is he trains his community into hating OnlyFans or women and also migrants and stuff like that. I'm half Mexican and just things to hate about women and women that have OnlyFans. So when he does attack me, they're more angry towards me. Have you had some of his fans come after you on the platforms? Absolutely. Can you explain that to the court? I've had people make threats, YouTube videos, call me a liar, a whore, threaten to want to kill me. He said I've had somebody DM somebody else to rape.
Well, I've done one of those things. Oh, two of those things. I've called her a liar and a whore, but both of those are true. Both of those are true. Both of those are absolutely true. And the thing is that I didn't do it because of what Tectone did. I did it because of what she did. No, no, you're getting criticism based on what you did. And this is the sort of thing. These women are allergic to accountability. Accountability. What you do. What you did. Your role. And this is the thing that's nuts. Is that it's like, this is very basic. It's very, very simple. My criticizing you, my calling you a whore and a liar is not based on some generalized hatred of women. It's based on you and your actions and your words. I don't call all women whores. I don't call all women liars. I'm not making a generalized statement, although I do say that we should repeal the 19th Amendment. But no, I look at specific actions from people and I make a determination. And my determination on you was based on what you did and what you said.
Rape me. Whoa, hold on. I believe I have had a DM somebody threaten to rape me. Basically, it gotten to the point where I didn't even go to TwitchCon because I was afraid one of his fans might physically hurt me. Well, smart move not going to TwitchCon because TwitchCon doesn't have real security, as we've learned in the case of Emiru, right? Smart move there, not going to TwitchCon. That's actually smart, right? So yes, do not go to TwitchCon. Mr. Robertson know that let me rephrase that. He previously told you about how he can get his fans to do what he needs them to do. Yes. Okay. Can you tell the court what he told you with regards to that? I was in a situation with his ex-wife, that's Freem. After then, he had her sign an NDA. He wanted me to go after her. May I give context? No, well, she went after her of her own volition, I believe. Just answer the question. What he told you specifically about having his fans do things? Yeah, that if you kind of guide them in the right direction, they'll know who to attack. And he's done it multiple people. And how have you seen him do this to multiple people? Enviosity was one example. He has a lot, I guess, of beef with a lot of people. I can't even count. In his YouTube videos, he names each of his YouTube videos after the person he's going after in that video. And what is your concern with regards to happens if this protective order is not granted after the hearing today? He's going to continue, as he's shown, relentlessly harassing and threatening me to the point where I probably will have to take measures where my life may be in danger. So saying that the fans are going to come after her and her life's in danger. Mr. MC 2003 says, it's a catch-22. You got to find out if it's crazy. That's true. And sometimes it's really good in the short term. Proud to be a block woman who falsely accuses man or scum and should be in prison. Are you falsely accusing him of these actions? Absolutely not. And in fact, they did take place. Yes. What did Mr. Robertson say actually before the protective order was filed in June 18th of 2025? I'm excited to be called misogynistic for thinking women are smarter. For thinking women are smarter than people believe and that are bad actors who lie and scream. I was manipulated and are going to take it harder for real victims seriously. Look, Tectone was screwed over by Freem. And I'll tell you this. I can understand how he would not have you go through these phases when you're screwed over by people where you get really mad at the whole gender. Not all women are bad. There's so many good women out there. There's so many honest. Judicial notice of that. The court admits that into evidence. Did he post again on social media? Yes. In fact, on December 12th of 2025. So last year, you got no idea of how hard it is to find a woman that isn't a psychotic, entitled cunt. Men got it hard.
True.
Right? Okay, we're going to have to put another one in the swear jar for cunt. All right. Do you think that, did you take that as directed at you? Yes. Why? It's the same verbiage he's used times when describing me. So I guess he's described her as a psychotic, entitled cunt? Okay. And you're describing you in publicly or in private? He just calls me crazy and psycho is what I believe he said on his streams about me. All right, we'll pull up 32. And then on December 17th of 2025, what is the court case rather than me needing protection because of his harassment and threats and the abuse? And are you trying to asking the court to grant the protective order? Yes, please. Okay. Are you asking the court to prohibit him from 200 yards of your residence? Yes. You're asking to be prohibited from engaging any contact that are on evidence here. They play another video. There's no objections. They're admitted. And says, how was that relevant? Miss Locke says, sure, Judge. One of the issues at stake is that he's got untreated mental health condition. It's schizophrenia. It's pretty serious. He carries firearms. He bragged about it online that he gives her concerns for her safety considering the continued pattern he has. And he admits to seeing hallucinations. He's admitted publicly online to over 1 million followers. He's got following him, but gives real concerns for her personal, just wants me to let it go, the case. And this, he engaged in a repeated pattern of making online comments on his streams about you ever since he went to the police, even before the police. And the fact that he won't get into all of it, but you actually created a timeline of everything you posted on over the course of a year. And how voluminous is it? 200 pages is the timeline. And that's just a timeline. Do you believe that you will be safe if the court does not grant the protective order? Absolutely not. Do you believe that he will engage in a continued pattern of harassment that are public? Dawn generates second review all of the exhibits. Can you between June of 2022 and let's say July? Yes. At some point, yes. You guys were a couple. Is that fair? Yes. Okay. Well, I want to ask you again. How do you communicate? From my mom. All these exhibits that your attorney just admitted. Can you point out for me? And these are I can release these. These are totally legitimate. There's no issue with these being released. These documents being released. These are court documents that are public. Dawn generates says so. I guess now believing is now evidence. Yes. How likely is jail time for him breaking a pregnant? It's not going to be jail time for those. Sarcasto78 for 5 says, Mr. Mindset, you said I don't like CUM. Did I read that right? Yes, Mr. Rittenborn, you read that very well. Hold on.
What the fuck?
Let's get into the cross-examination. I'm going to ask you some questions. If there's anything confusing, just let me know. So you go by Linda, Miss Lamar, Ashley. Well, I go by Ashley. Ashley, that's my middle name. Is that all right, Ashley? I want you to take a second. All these exhibits that your attorney just admitted, can you point out for me in those exhibits, it mentions Linda, Miss Lamar, Pikachu, Pink, or Ashley. In the timeline, there's multiple situations. Ashley, I want you to take a second and review all of the exhibits. Can you tell me where in the exhibits it mentions Linda, Miss Lamar, Pikachu, Pink, or Ashley? Are you speaking about the printed ones, the ones that are on screen? Either. I don't believe in this short clip section, my name was mentioned in the clip section. Okay, I agree with you. Can you point out for the court anytime in any of the admitted exhibits where it mentions Linda, Miss Lamar, Pink, Pikachu, or Ashley? Not that was shown. Okay, I agree with you. Would you agree with me that we'll strike that? Has John ever text messaged you since the application? Well, have you ever expressed to John until the protection order was filed that you didn't want to contact with him? Yes. And okay, how did you do that? How do you communicate? From my mom. So you had your mom call him and say she doesn't want you to call him anymore. He called my mom. And what was that conversation recorded anyway? No, but I believe there was it memorialized in text messages? Yes, in writing. I believe there's text messages. I don't know if that's what you said over the phone or through text. Okay. I would assume if it's in text, you have a copy of that. No. Since the protective order has been filed, has he text messaged you? No. Has he emailed you? No. Has he called you? No. Has he communicated with you by social media? Are you speaking of since the protective order? Facebook Messenger, over direct message, Instagram, any communication at all? Are you speaking of from since the protective order? Correct. No. Okay. I do not believe so. So no communication, right? Has he ever been seen in your house outside your neighborhood? No. Has he ever approached you? No. And I want to ask you again, how did your relationship with John start? Who contacted you? I reached out to him because his friend asked me to reach out to him. Okay, but your friend didn't type out the media message, the social media message to John, correct? No. You messaged John. Is that yes? Correct? Okay. So you messaged John all to begin a romantic relationship. No. In December, what's that? Oh, no, that not when I messaged him. No. At some point following the message, John, you entered into a romantic relationship in sometime between June of 2022 and let's say July. Yes. At some point, yes. You guys were a couple. Is that fair? Yes. Okay. Well, I just want to clarify because you provided some testimony on direct that the only reason you slept together was because he had a mental health diagnosis where he didn't want to sleep alone. I mean, you guys were a couple. Is that fair? Yes. Okay, so I just want to clear up because the implication from that was that you were roommates, but you were only sleeping together because you were scared of the dark or something like that. I mean, you guys were a couple. You slept together like couples do. I preferred a lot of times to sleep upstairs. Okay, but have you ever expressed something different in a text message to John? I believe it was over Snapchat. I would tell him I'm working or I'm going to go sleep upstairs. Okay, but for the purposes of our cross-examination, I'm familiar with the text message history with you guys. I mean, you guys, again, you were a couple and slept in the same bed. Yes, periodically we did. It was both. Did you engage in consensual intimate encounters? There were times before I moved in. Yes. And it was fair to say your date of birth is X. Yes. You made a statement. Oh, sorry. From a personal perspective, did you want partners to be invested in your career goals? Supportive. Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying. Did you want them to be supportive of your career goals? Yes. And John was supportive of your career goals. Is that fair? You testified about him wanting to be kind to promote your online presence and help you achieve more visibility, more popularity. Those were all things you wanted. Is that fair? I think yes. And John was supportive. Yes. Okay. if you had a partner that wasn't supportive of your career goals, that wouldn't be a very good sign of a mutually supportive relationship. Is that fair? Yes. So once again, she's going through and confirming these things kind of one by one. The real Saint said, sorry, I joined in late, but did you already talk about Tectone's 10-year fire extension he signed? How does that work? That's not that one. We're going through this specific protective order here from January. Palooza says for 5, would you take $60 payment through PayPal for a copy? I just didn't think I have to react to your channel to go over this. I mean, if you want to PayPal me, that's fine. I'll send them to you. You can DM me or you can write me andrewesquirelive@gmail.com and say that. That's fine. And I can get you that. Crimson Dive 999 says, I love Tectone's content, but IMO, dude, most likely could have avoided protector or just stay quiet on Twitter, Twitch. And that's my criticism of Tectone, is that he should have really stayed quiet, like really more like extra cautious. And he wasn't extra cautious, right? And he said more than he should have said. That's true, even if it wasn't related to her, right? And people are like, okay, people are commenting in the chat here. But yeah, that's my email if you guys want to email me, right? Okay. Yeah, that's the valid criticism. Just shut up, my dude. Like, shut up. Like the Niji Doki situation, right? The inclination on direct was that him wanting to help you out was a bad thing. It was a dynamic, a power dynamic, right? So this is the Me Too framing, and I'm going to say it. In a lot of these cases, we've seen this. Amber Heard. We've seen a lot of other cases.
Power dynamic. Oh gosh, that's just so pathetic.
Where it's framed as a power dynamic when a man is helping a woman, or and it could be a woman helping a man in another situation. It's framed as a power dynamic, right? Okay. Let's see here. That he had more fans online than you didn't, right? He had more control over not just online, but also with companies and stakes in companies and partners. Okay. And I meant, if you could correct me if I wasn't wrong, it sounds like he was leveraging that influence and had it in your industry to help your career out. Is that fair? Yes. Okay. Was John physically abusive to you? In what way? Would he hit you? He did shove my face into his crotch one time. Okay. Would he strike you with his hand? No. Would he kick you? No. When did the alleged sexual harassment begin? The coercion began when I moved in, and it got more aggressive as time went on. Okay. When I moved into Chestnut Ridge address. So this was December of 2022. No. That's when you guys met? Yes. Okay. When do you think you started dating? I believe a couple of weeks after we met. So after the end of December, beginning of January, something like that. Sometime in December, I can't remember. Do you think you'll talk about the flock privacy issues? I don't even know what you're talking. Flock privacy issues. You're gonna have to DM me or message me about that. Maybe I'm bird brain today. My brain is flocking over here, but I don't know. I don't know what that is. So you're gonna have to fill me in on that one. Let's continue here. When you moved into Chestnut Ridge address, and I apologize, I don't know when that was. Do you remember month and year? I think it was possibly February of 2024. Okay. That's when the coercion began. Yes, I wasn't paying rent. We were into the new home. Okay. You stated that around February or March 2023, you told John that you did not want to live by this agreement anymore. What was the agreement like? I wasn't paying rent. In my perspective, I thought it was because I was going to help him with thumbnails and graphics. And because he stated during the intimacy that it was not like that I wasn't paying rent because I was giving him blowjobs. But he stated in quotes, do your job, you don't pay rent. But it sounds like you guys were already in a romantic relationship at that point. That's why I was disgusted and confused. What was disgusted and confusing? That I thought I was his girlfriend, but he's treating me like a prostitute. And did you break up with him at that point? I told him I wanted to pay rent, and I hoped that it would stop after that. I told him I had already sold all of my items in my home.
So they were already dating at this point. What a stupid, obnoxious bitch. What a lying, manipulative shit. Oh my gosh. So they were already dating. Oh gosh.
Cancel my lease like he asked, and I'd struck already. And it's not that easy to move out. Okay. Were you working online? And you were, I think, doing some modeling, doing some acting. And I am not deeply familiar with this kind of world, but this is generally something you're doing. I was, streaming and modeling, and your income streams from that. It's not as high as I got later when I began on OnlyFans, right? Yes, but there was an income statement. Yeah, but it wasn't that high. Correct. But my question was, there was an income stream. Yes. And were you making money from that? Yes. And certainly if the situation was coercive enough, if it was bad enough, you could have moved out. Is that fair? No. Because like I said, he does have a lot of power and control and the power dynamic. I just felt like I was going to start paying rent and, that was going to stop and I was going to hopefully move on from that. Okay, but John wasn't keeping you in the home. He wasn't physically keeping you in the home. How so? Explain what physically keeping is. I'll strike that. And you reported this alleged sexual abuse to the Austin Police Department. Yes. And when was that? I believe in early 2025. Okay. And Detective James Thrift, does that name sound familiar? Yes. He was a detective assigned. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Would it surprise you if the investigation been suspended? I suspended it. You suspended it? Yes. And so it was your request to suspend the investigation. So once again, We're seeing the criminal investigation was dropped here, right? Due to all the threats and harassment, I couldn't do what the officer was requesting for my safety. But you proceed with the filing of a protective order. Yes. And hopefully after the protective order, if I feel safe and comfortable enough, I will probably most likely reopen the case. So she's trying to say she's going to reopen the criminal case, right? Which has not been done, right? To date. Dan said, is it true you were dropped by Mythic Talent in 2025? What the fuck? Me? No, I was picked up by Mythic Talent in 2025. What was the time? Was Tectone dropped by Mythic Talent? Yes. Right? But not me. I'm part of Mythic Talent. Okay, I want to ask you about another police report that you filed. This one was back in February 2024 when you called the Leander Police Department. Is that correct? Yes. And at the time of the report, were you residing with John on Venzia View? Yes. And at the time we were residing with him? Yes. And you made a report because John's ex-wife, Freem, Jessica, had messaged John something like, is she better than me? Once again, Freem, this is in our previous stream, some of you saw, some of you didn't, accused him of having a micropene, but also asked, and let me put one in the swear jar for micropene, also said, is she better than me? Right? This is not why I made the police report. That wasn't my question. Did John's ex-wife message him something like, is she better than me? That is what he told me. I did not see it. Okay, but is that your understanding of what Jessica told John? Is that fair? Yes. And you made a report on the basis of suspicion that Jessica had videos of you and John engaged in intimate activities? Yes. And you believe that she had those recordings? From what I was told, yes. Okay, and what were you told by who? Mr. Robertson? By John? Yes. And you believed that he told you because your next action was to call the police. That was not the timeline of the events, though. Correct. It was about 14 months after he told you. Is that fair? It was after multiple people have told me that they were sent that. After multiple people were sent that, they stated that they were sent footage. Q said, did these multiple people, did they ever provide you any of this footage? No. Okay, so you didn't have any independent evidence of verification that anybody had the footage ever. Is that fair? No, there was some footage. It just wasn't sexual footage. Okay, but to be clear, you never saw any video footage. No, I was believing John and his friends. Okay, when did Jessica message that to John to your Unchained? The first time? I believe it was in December. And that's when you learned about it? I just don't remember the full context. I just knew there was some footage, something going on, but I didn't understand the full context. Judge may approach? Yes. Have you ever had a different position on when you learned about that footage? I was just told, or that message, that it was giving him a blowjob, but I didn't know if it was inside the garage or if it was outside the garage, like the full context, because I never seen it myself. Let me back that up. When did you learn about the message that Jessica sent John? Something to the effect of, is she better than me? December 2022. Okay. And what did you take from that? I was disturbed. And was Jessica there? Jessica where? Was Jessica in the home when you engaged with the intimate activities? No. So the implication from that message was she was viewing what you guys were doing in the house someplace else. Is that fair? Yes. And did that concern you? Yes. And you learned about it in December of 2022? Yes. And you didn't report that to police for 14 months until February of 2024? Yes. So she had all those concerns about revenge porn and stuff, and she's saying, I have concerns about Tectone's revenge porn, but she didn't report Freem's revenge porn, which she had and knew about for 14 months. So that's the contradiction there, right? Very odd. Interesting. And on that date, you spoke with Officer Alyssa Hoffman, and you remember that name? Yes. She's an officer with the Leander Police Department. Is that correct? Yes. And you reported to Officer Hoffman that John's ex-wife, Freem, had recorded you in intimate contact with John, sexual contact with John. Yes. And you wanted to file that police report against her because you believed she had been monitoring cameras in the house and recorded you to engage in sexual conduct. It's because she was sending it to multiple people. Okay, and at that moment, when you were speaking with Officer Hoffman, you believed that Jessica still had videos of you and John engaged in intimate activity. Yes. And I'm sure with Officer Hoffman standing there by your side with a badge and a gun and handcuffs ready to arrest John if he had broken the law, it was over. Sorry, hold on, my apologies. You certainly would have told Officer Hoffman, officer, it's extremely important that we get these videos, not only because Jessica has done something wrong, because these videos contain powerful evidence of coerced sexual activity that I've been forced to perform. No, you probably wouldn't have told her, I've been coerced into performing oral sex. These videos contain evidence of it. May I explain? Sorry. Or can you can if your attorney asks, but my question is, that's not what you explained to Officer Hoffman, is it? These videos do not contain coercion because it was before it began. So she's saying that I was giving blowjobs consensually at one point,
right?
But then they became non-consensual at a certain other point. Let's see here. And Bazooka says, sorry to interrupt you. Could you send me that transcript soonish? Maybe after reading this, chat will understand. Money sent, by the way. No, we're finishing the stream. So no, I'm not going to do that. I will send this out to people requesting it after my stream, not before, till I go through it completely. Sorry. That's the delay, right? And Pagamouse says, be careful, Ligamite. Bazooka says, insane techno stalker, maybe handle him off stream. Well, that's fine. Look, listen, I'm impartial. I will send out this evidence to people that are pro and people that are con and people that are whatever, and they can review it how they're going to review it, and they can have it after they're going to have it. But we're going to finish the stream. We're going to go through all 225 pages, and we're going to wait till the end, right? So
Okay.
people can be patient and wait to the end, right? Chud Logic stream tomorrow is going to hit like crack. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. You know, I'm impartial, right? I will continue with this. How many interactions with law enforcement have you had in your life? How many times as an officer? How many interactions with law enforcement have you had in your life? Possibly 3. Okay, so fair to say that an interaction with Officer Hoffman on your doorstep in your house on the sidewalk outside, that would have been significant for you. I just can't remember. It was so long. It was a couple of years ago. Lock in, brother. I'm trying to lock in. CR7 says, have this same energy for text cross-examination. I will. Listen, I will. And is it fair to say you didn't disclose anything to Officer Hoffman about any sexual abuse you were allegedly suffering at John's hands? At the time, I didn't know what to call it. Okay, did a detective with the Leander Police Department ever follow up with you about these allegations? Answer, it was very difficult going back and forth over the phone. I got to, so I don't remember. I'd have to look at my emails. To your knowledge, has Jessica ever been arrested? No, that's Freem. Freem was never arrested. Did the Williamson County Prosecutor's Office prosecute against her? No. So the case went nowhere? Yes. Okay, so because that case went nowhere, you filed a lawsuit in the Williamson County Courthouse against Jessica? Yes. A civil lawsuit? Yes. A judge may approach, you may. While she's looking through these records, just from a big picture, this lawsuit, again, dealt with Jessica, John's ex-wife, allegedly videotaping sexual interactions, sexual ones between you and John. That's, again, a big picture kind of what was involved with the distribution of these videos. It was also defamation. Okay, good. I don't have any objections. The evidence comes in. All right, Ashley. So I want to ask you a few questions here. In that lawsuit, you allege several different causes of actions, including unlawful disclosure or promotion of intimate visual material, common law defamation, statutory libel, business disparagement, which I went over. I went over all these yesterday. Tortious interference with business relationships, intrusion on seclusion, and stalking. Is that correct? Yes. And you filed this lawsuit on June 25th in Williamson County. Yes. And that, what we've just published as Respondents Exhibit 1 is a certified copy. Yes. So that's what we read. I've read that yesterday. So that's important context. And you describe your relationship with Tectone as a private romantic relationship in the lawsuit. Where? And I can make it easier for you, Ashley. Thank you. On the front page of the lawsuit. Is that fair? So she described their relationship as a private romantic relationship in the previous lawsuit, but then is reframing it as a power dynamic, abusive, coercive thing in this. That's the juxtaposition here. So saying this was a private romantic relationship when I want to get the videos deleted, but now it's a coercive relationship. So that's arguing out of both sides of your mouth, right? Okay, and Pikachu, that's you. So in your lawsuit, as kind of a background for the relationship between the parties, you had described the relationship that you had with John as a private romantic relationship. Yes. And that it was filed in June of 2024. Yes. I also want to direct your attention to a second page in that, and you, at various points in the lawsuit, discuss or characterize sexual interaction between you and John. Is that fair? The interactions are from December of 2022. And you describe them as private, intimate moments between Pikachu and Tectone. Yes. And the romantic relationship between Tectone and Pikachu. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
That's a very damning part. That is very, very damning for her story and the cohesiveness of her story, right? Very, very damning for saying that it was not a romantic relationship, that it was an abusive power dynamic thing, and then all of a sudden all of a sudden it's something different, right? That's very damning evidence. Definitely clip that. And you would talk about some of the false statements that people have been making about you and John in the videos that have been allegedly distributed. Yes. And some of the, I think you call them rumors that are online. I believe so, if that's what they says. Okay. And you said that there were some, quote, toxic lies that are being distributed about the intimate videos involving you and John. Yes. And how these videos, these intimate videos allegedly being distributed have negatively impacted your career. Is that fair? Yes. And how you weren't getting signed to Mythic Talent as soon as you might have been otherwise. Yes. So it's fair to say that from experience, you have a good understanding of how an allegation or rumors online can affect someone's career. Yes. Because you've experienced it. Yes. And you went through this with Jessica Freem. Is that fair? Yes. And you're extremely aware that this experience, that an allegation like this can affect the ability to get endorsements. Yes. Okay. And business deals that may happen. It can affect how many followers you might have or any of your social media streams. Is that fair? Not entirely. And what is incorrect about that? And what would you disagree with? I would say it's similar to the kind of how John was dealt with it, is that you just go to make a pivot to be very hateful or opposite side of content to garner new audiences in that sphere. And you can actually grow, is what I've seen people do. Again, you characterize these interactions between you and John as recorded intimate interactions. Correct. So she's saying that in December, they were that. Was this lawsuit a bench trial? Yeah, bench trial. So there was no jury here, right? And once again, activist judge. Among these false statements that you identified was Tectone was grooming you. So that was a false statement that Tectone was grooming you. And then you go on to say that grooming is defined as a practice of preparing or training someone for a particular purpose or activity. In this connotation, Freem, who is that? His ex-wife, Jessica, yes, was implying that Tectone was preparing Pink as a sex slave because she was autistic. However, this is not the basis of the relationship between Tectone and Pikachu. Is that true? That's what's written. Yes, right? That's what she wrote for the lawsuit in 2024. Okay. And both of the specific interactions you list in your application for a protective order happened before that. Is that fair? In March of 2024. Some of them. One of the ones that you specifically say in your protective order happened in March of 2024. Yes. So this lawsuit was filed less than a month after this last incident of sexual abuse allegedly perpetrated on you by John. Yes. Is that fair? Yes. So despite that, you're calling the allegation that John was grooming you as a lie. Is that fair? I was not aware that I was being sexually abused at this time. Let's key in on that. I was not aware that I was being sexually abused at that time. So I became enlightened by somebody online or some person, some friend. I became enlightened to the fact that I was being sexually abused later on. It was an aha moment, right? Yes, that's what she is saying here. In the clear language here. I was not aware. Inspector 7499 says, after watching this, I now see why AI Tectone prefers lobsters in Don Hogwater's videos. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. And can you explain that? I did not. Until I confided to a friend after I knew what was going on was not good, and I did not know what to call it. Okay. And that did not happen until after I moved out and confided in someone. But you described for Miss Locke on that direct both these incidents caused you pain. Yes. And was it without your consent? Yes. But it wasn't until you talked to a friend after you and John broke up that you changed your view on these things and decided that it was sexual assault. Not deciding that is sexual abuse. So, but at the time you filed the lawsuit, you believe the idea that John was grooming you or that you were a sex slave or that was a basic relationship, you believe that was a lie. I was highly manipulated at that time. That was not my question. Okay. My question was, at the time you filed the lawsuit, you believed that the idea that John was grooming you or that you were his sex slave or that was the basis of your relationship was a lie. Yes. Okay. At that time, yes. And further, you called them disgusting lies and you called these rumors that were spread about you and John. Yes. Right. Also, Tankrat dropping a base 50 legal mindset membership.
Yes.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
Very, very good. For my base degenerates out there. Love you guys. Appreciate you, Tankrat. Longtime gift. If you received a gift membership, please say thank you for that, for those base gifts and those base gifters. Appreciate that out there. Or whatever platform you're on. We're on Kick. We're on Twitch, everybody. Thank you. I love you guys. And thanks for supporting the Legal Mindset community and making me able to do this as a full-time thing. I couldn't do it without you guys. And I appreciate the support. I genuinely do. Thank you. Okay. Further, you believe that the idea or rumor that you were going to have gag reflex surgery was a disgusting lie. Yes. And in June of 2024, you believe the idea that John was grooming you as a sex slave, that was a disgusting lie. At the time, yes. And again, this is less than a month after this May 28th incident that you put down in your application for the protection order. Yes. Okay. So in this lawsuit, despite, according to your testimony, having been abused by John in March of 2024, then in May 29th, in this lawsuit, you did not describe your relationship with John as one of an abuser and one of a victim. At the time, I did not. I was not fully aware of what my situation was, right? My question in that lawsuit that you filed in June of 24, did you describe the nature of your relationship with John as one of an abuser and a victim? In writing, yes. That's what I wrote. Yes, the lawyers wrote, put it together. Where in the lawsuit do you describe your relationship with John as one of an abuser? Sorry, I think I'm confusing the question. In any place in that lawsuit, do you characterize your relationship with John as one of an abuser and victim? Me or you don't? No. Is that fair? Okay, I don't. She doesn't, right? We read the lawsuit. She doesn't, right? She doesn't. I'm late. Welcome, Jay, as his readers. Shard's family says, thank you, Tankrat. Everyone should hydrate. Yeah, no, definitely going to hydrate here. We're just getting to page 100 of 225. Holy. We're at 2 hours. So is this going to be a 4-hour stream? Am I going to make my 9 a.m. bus? Who knows? Is it fair to say that no place in the lawsuit did you describe your relationship with John as a sexually abusive one? No. Is it fair to say that in the lawsuit you didn't describe your relationship with John as a sexually coercive one? Wait, sorry, repeat that question. At no place in this lawsuit did you describe your relationship with John as a sexually coercive one? No. And despite you filing this lawsuit on June 25, less than a month after John allegedly had sexually abused you, yes. And in cause of action for number 2, you described this characterization of John grooming you to be a sex slave as false at the time. In June of 2024, yes. Less than a month after John allegedly last sexually abused you, yes. So in June of 24, it was false that John was grooming you. No, just that I had written at the time. I was not aware of what to call what I was going through. So she got educated, right, on what is abuse, right? DG Nuts says there must be something pretty damning in the next 150 pages of misgifts and trouble. Mr. Bear Doc says, good afternoon, my favorite lawyer man. Thank you. Welcome. But that's what you got. That's what you put in your lawsuit, that it was false that John was grooming you. Is that correct? Yes. Yes, that's what's written. It was false. And in your lawsuit in 2024, it was false that John was preparing or training you to be a sex slave. Is that correct? Yes. And in that lawsuit that you filed in June of 2024, it was false that you were sex slaves. That's what's written. That's what's in the lawsuit. And on page 13 of the lawsuit, less than a month after John, according to your testimony, brutally orally assaults you, you call the notion of you being John's, quote, whore as a lie without any substantiation. You call the notion of you being John's whore as a lie without any substantiation. One in the swear jar for whore, right? Yes, that's a lie, right? And again, this is less than a year after the May 29th incident that you put in your application for protective order. Yes, sometime in the early summer, you and John end your relationship. Whatever type of relationship it was, you end it. Yes. And that was kind of an extended process. Is that fair? How so? You didn't break up in an afternoon. You never moved all your stuff out that afternoon. You never saw each other again. Okay, yes, it was extended. Yes, correct. It was protracted. Use whatever word you want. It took a while. Is that fair? It took a while after. It was fairly fast after I got out of the hospital. You mean Austin Oaks? Yes. The mental health facility. At the time, you guys were continuing to communicate. Yes. And you and John continued to be intimate. Yes. Consensually intimate. What's the timeline in this? Let's say June and July of 2024. I don't know. I'd have to look at what was going on at the time. On June 23rd, do you recall discussing a sexual encounter you had with John and describing how hard it was to be, quote, friends with benefits? Do you remember that? Yes. And what does friends with benefits mean to you? That was my first time ever having that. So I don't know. It was just a term he used. Well, if I represent to you that's in a text message between you and John, that's a phrase you used. What would that mean to you? I guess that means friends that are sexually active. And are you and John, were you sexually active? Yes. Consensually sexually active. Prior to that, no. Prior to what? Well, because I do remember there was one consensual action from the friends with benefits situation, but the other times there were not. There were many.
Oh, gosh. Guys, I'm going to post a question in my YouTube live chat. I'm going to post a question in my YouTube live chat. And I want you all to participate. We're going to do a poll. Based on what you've seen, is Tectone guilty? Yes, he did it. No, he's innocent. All right. On YouTube, I am running a poll right now. Based on what you've seen, is Tectone guilty? The answers are yes, he did it. No, he's innocent. 10 votes in, 11 votes in. 100% says he's innocent. This is, I think, a symptom of our sick and rotting and decrepit legal system. I think this is, in many ways, a sign of our sick and decrepit society. What I have seen here has disturbed me, but not in the way that I'm told that I should be disturbed. Her answers disturb me. The nonchalant way she casually flirts with just being dishonest. Like, oh, yeah, like everything that this woman has said so far has been a misrepresentation, an exaggeration, or a distortion. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching her actively try to ruin this guy's life based on nothing. And this rogue activist judge, the lawyer, Pinky Chew herself, frame, throw these people into the box. What are we doing as a species and as a civilization if Tectone has his rights deprived of him based on this retard who apparently can't seem to figure anything out? I didn't consent to that. Did you articulate that? Well, no, I didn't articulate that, but I thought it. And then he should have been able to pay. Like, this is insane. This woman should be charged criminally for what she's doing here. And honestly, the punishment for what she did should be what Tectone would have faced if he were actually guilty. By the way, I very, very, very much doubt that she's going to go over and try to get criminal charges, because there's no way that any of this would stand up in court. In fact, this doesn't even stand up to civil. If not for the biased judge and the whacked out court in Travis County, wherever the fuck that is, in Texas of all places, if not for that, this would have been thrown out. This is a garbage case. This is embarrassing. It's pathetic. And I mean, I'm told I should disavow Tectone. After going through all this stuff, I feel bad for the guy. But all of these haters and desperate vermin who want to feast off of Tectone's demise. Yes, they may not like him personally, but for them, they're vultures. These are people that just look to feed. And we've seen those type of people on my channel. And they are absolutely fucking pathetic. Anyone who sides with her at this point is somebody that is mentally ill, a simp, or just a pure bona fide Tectone hater. Anyone who watches this and thinks that this is in any degree the same as like Destiny, you're too far gone to be real.
Times that were non-consensual. At some point in June or July, did you engage in consensual sexual encounter? I believe one time. One time. And that's probably the time that you were referring to in some of the text messages. To be fair, yes. All the other times were non-consensual? No. There were specific times that were, and there were many times that were not. It's very nuanced. Okay, but you guys broke up at this point. Yes, I broke up with him. Okay, so how would these non-consensual, if you guys broke up, how would these non-consensual encounters come about? No. Had you moved out at this point? No. I'm speaking about the time that he wanted to be friends with benefits. There was one consensual time, and that was that. Okay, from what I remember, do you guys remember going to Austin Oaks on June 29th? If that's the date, that's on file. Okay, and your phone number at the time was blank. Yes, is that correct? Do you recall texting John the day before you went to Austin Oaks at 7:44 p.m.? Sorry, one last thing. As a thank you, can I suck your dick tonight? So did you text him, sorry, last thing, as a thank you, can I suck your sucky, not suck, sorry. I'm wrong there. Can I sucky your dick tonight? Right?
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm screenshotting that.
Interesting. All right. This is what he instructed me to do. But did you send the text message? Yes. Just to be clear, so I understand the testimony, John instructed you to send him a text message asking that you could suck his dick that night. Yes, he told me I needed to ask to suck his dick to show he could trust me because I needed to reach out to another girl and talk about what he'd been doing. What date was that? June 28th. That was a month before hospitalization. That was the night before. No, hospitalization was in July. I'm sorry, July 28th. Okay, thank you. Judge may approach. What's the date? July 23rd. I don't know if she can authenticate that. Judge may approach. You may. Ashley, is it fair and accurate representation of the conversations that you had with John, I believe? And she says yes. It's fair and accurate copy, yes. Entered into with no objections. Ashley, 7:44 p.m. You say, love you. And then what do you call that? An emoji? Yes. So they get a love you with an emoji, right? What does the emoji signify? Happy, nervous, right? Okay, I think you're having hope you're having a good day. Sorry, last thing, as a thank you, can I sucky? I assume you meant your dick tonight. Then another emoji. What is that significant? A mouth opening emoji. Can I sucky our dick tonight with a mouth opening emoji? Okay. Okay. And this was a day before you went into Austin Oaks. Yes. And when you went into Austin Oaks, they did a screening process. Is that fair? They would have. Judge may approach and introduce all the records. Yes, this is the excerpts. Hold on. I'm going to take a super chat break here. Greeting from your friendly neighborhood paramedic in upstate SC. Been a while since I've caught a live show. Hey, welcome for the 5, Mike Sullivan. Appreciate that. Mahak for 5,000 Chilean pesos. To be devil's advocate, someone with mental issues, specifically autism, can be oblivious about stuff and it's mostly obvious. Yeah, that's true. Still sus about the time gap. Perception after that long time isn't reliable. Yeah. So there is some possibility about the mental health issues playing in here. I agree. She loved you a long time with that text chat. Yeah, some definite mixed signals there. That's without a doubt going on for sure. Okay. Continuing here. The excerpts are voluminous. I have them on a flash drive. Judge it on the objection to the entirety of the records coming in. Correct. Can we take a comfort break? How much time to take a lunch break? Okay, here we go. Ashley, again, I think when we broke up, we were discussing we were going into Austin Oaks. Yes. And before you went into Austin Oaks, you sent John a series of text messages and you guys had a text conversation about your decision to go into Austin Oaks. Is that correct? Yes. And that's what we see on the screen behind us. Is that fair? That's yes. Our discussion. Yes. And you said, I really need a friend right now. I think I need to go to a mental hospital. My mom doesn't answer. I didn't know if the medication I'm having a hard time. I need to see a doctor. Figuring it out right now. Packing my bags, heading to mom's. I hope you see this, but I'm going to do the right thing and get a full psych evaluation and get some real help. I love you so much. I'm sorry if I ever hurt you, and I can't wait to come back to feeling better. I love you. So she sent that text message at a time in which she claims she was a victim in a power dynamic and being manipulated, right? So that's just that. Okay. Yet Tech also has mental issues, one-way street. Yeah, no, Tech has mental issues too, right? He does. They both do. Shrike N for 5 says, do you get in trouble if you laugh in court? I'm assuming yes. Typically, they don't like you laughing in court. Is that what you wrote? Yes. And did John direct you to write that? No, not at all. Just the other part about the oral sex. Yes. Okay. Need to see a doctor. Figuring it out right now. Packing my bags, heading to mom's. I hope you see this, but I'm going to do the right thing and get a full psych evaluation and get some real help. I love you so much. I'm sorry if I ever hurt you, and I can't wait to come back to feeling better. I love you.
Guys, let me make this as crystal clear as I can. The people that are going after Tectone, the people that are pushing this lie, these people are genuinely evil. They have lied at every step of the way. They've exaggerated. They've distorted. They have abused this poor guy in so many different ways. They've taken normal interactions and tried to make them something akin to abuse. Obviously, this was not a non-consensual relationship. This was not Tectone ever forcing himself on her. Do you know how I know that? Because when you actually read the text from her and the context and everything, it becomes abundantly clear. This is an attempt for attention. It's an attempt to be a victim. Listening to her retarded friends feed poison in her ear. This is despicable. To write something like this, and then to go after that person, all while trying to paint him in the worst possible light. Let me just say, I hope the worst for this person. I hope they have to suffer with the guilt of what they're doing. But I don't trust this person to actually have guilt or insight. But I hope that one day the insight comes to them and they realize how evil they are. And I hope they have to live with that. I hope they have to live with that for a long, long time. Disgusting.
So she sent that text message at a time in which she claims she was a victim in a power dynamic and being manipulated, right? So that's just that. Okay. Yet Tech also has mental issues, one-way street. Yeah, no, Tech has mental issues too, right? He does. They both do. Shrike N for 5 says, do you get into trouble if you laugh in court? I'm assuming yes. Typically, they don't like you laughing in court. Is that what you wrote? Yes. And did John direct you to write that? No, not at all. Just the other part about the oral sex. Yes. Okay, but that was the only part he directed you to write. No, he's done it before. Okay, then he responds, Jesus Christ, all right, well, be safe and I trust your decision. Is that correct? Yes. He doesn't belittle you? Not in that text. Correct. In that text, he doesn't belittle you. No, not in that. Does he call you crazy? Not in that text. Does he call you a psycho? No. Okay, he says, if you need me, just text me. I have my phone now. I'm so sorry you're going through this, Pink. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Correct? Yes. He's supportive in these text messages. Okay, sure. And for the sake of our questions about those texts, that's what I'm referring to. Okay. In this group of text message, he's not dismissive. No. He doesn't use any pejorative language, crazy, psycho, anything like that. Is that fair? Yes. Okay. And in fact, when you message him, hey, he says, first thing, are you safe? Yes. And that's what's the priority for him, is that making her safe. Okay. Is that correct? Yes. If that's what I don't know, not him, I can't tell you. Okay. Is that what he reads it as? Right. And that's what he wrote. Is that correct? Yes, that's what he wrote. Okay. And you respond with, I'm safe. Yes. Trying to figure this out. And he doesn't say cool, doesn't care, good luck. He says, okay, keep me updated. Yes. And you describe your sister coming to take you, going to Del Seton, and you eventually say, they're probably going to take my phone away. In other words, don't be surprised if I don't call or message. Is that fair? Yes. And you say, John says everything will be okay. And you respond, I love you so much. Please don't tell anyone. And John replies 100%. Are you with your sister? Yeah, she's on her way. Can I call again? If not, that's okay. He says, I need you to be strong. Yeah, correct. Again, he's supportive. He's encouraging you to getting whatever acute mental health crisis you have going on addressed. Is that fair? I wasn't having it. I just wasn't feeling good. It wasn't acute. Okay, well, we'll get into that in some of the medical records. I mean, at the time you were having some feelings, some thoughts of self-harm. Yeah, I mean, I was. Okay, in a bad situation. Sure. And okay, maybe we have a different definition of an acute mental health crisis, but you felt like you needed to go. I just felt to need to get out of there. Okay, then again, John says, text me when you're on your way and be careful. Be safe. Be careful. Correct. You ever told him I'm going to Austin Oaks and that's when you check on yourself? Yes. Is that fair? Yes. Okay, I want to ask you about that process. And when you go to Austin Oaks, they say a bunch of screening questions. Is that fair? Yes. Judge may approach. You may. And they ask a bunch of screening questions. Is that fair? Yes. They want to get you to know your situation a little bit more. Okay. Is that fair? Yes. For instance, they're going to ask you on page 26 when you're allergic and you respond something, right? On my hands, I get red bumps. You get red bumps and disclose that to the nurse on Austin Oaks. So you get red bumps if you touch blank. Yes. And you ask her on a special diet, right? Yes. Those are medical stuff, right? So they're going over her medical stuff right now, her getting the red bumps, stuff like that. They ask you about your present illness on page 15 and you indicate something. When I'm in high stress situations, she gets something, right? And that you say that was the reason that you believe that John broke up with you. No, I don't. The first time that wasn't. I don't believe that was the reason the first time. Okay, I broke up. Are you talking about the time when we mutually talked or talking about the time that I broke up with him? In the medical records, you describe it as blank. That's why you believe John broke up with you because blank. I don't mind you telling what page it's on, page 15. So medical record stuff. You characterize your relationship with John. Is that correct that you were friends? No, I'm just confused because you said blank and that's the reason we broke up. I can't find it on the pages. Okay, I can get that address for you. Okay. And the last line of the history of present illness, description of acute illness or expectation of illness and requiring admission. Is that on the printed pages? I just can't find them. Yeah, it's on the screen. You should be able to see, right? So she goes and looks at it. Let's just scroll down here. I haven't been in the, do you have blank, right? That's something we don't know that. Let's continue down here where we can actually understand stuff. So if it was by yourself, then why do you think that's why at the time in July of 2024, do you believe that the reason why John broke up with you? I believe that they probably miswrote why I was explaining that to them because I was crying and stuff. Oh, okay. But the quotation marks there, you think that they may have mischaracterized what you told them. So she's saying, I think the hospital got stuff wrong, right? Yeah. I think they may have. Okay. It looks like they're trying to cut it down into pieces and they probably weren't understanding. And I was trying to explain. Okay, fair enough. We'll come back to that. But you think the nurse, though you were attempting to be accurate, honest, and complete in your answers, you think the nurse with training and certification probably wrote it down wrong? Well, no. That's because I was under a lot of distress. I was trying to explain everything as much as I could and putting it into one small paragraph. Sorry, guys, I'm getting over this this stomach flu bug thing. Got you. Okay. Then on page 33, you ask about your history of sexual victimization and about your history of sexualization in the last 6 months. Do you remember that? Yes. And at the time, your answer was blank. Is that correct? Yes, because at the time I didn't know what it was. So she's saying that she wasn't abused, but she didn't know it was abuse at the time. Once again, it was explained to her later. Professor Keem says the drama VTubers are going to have a field day with the stream. I bet even Asma go watch the stream. Like mine said, this is big news. This is huge, massive. Okay. So when they asked you that question, and again, this covers in the last 6 months. This is in July 29th, 2024, correct? Yes. And so going 6 months back, that would have covered both May 28th and May 29th incident that you allege on 2004 in your application for a protective order. Yes. Is that correct? That occurred within 6 months of you going to Austin Oaks? Yes. I was not aware that I was, hold on. It covers that. Is that correct? Yes. It covers March 24 incident. Yes. They ask you specifically, have you been sexually victimized in any way? Not sexually assaulted, but sexually victimized in any way. And your answer on July 24th was, and I presume this was no. Is that correct? Yes. And they go on to ask your entire history of sexual victimization, not just sexual assault, not a criminal offense, but sexual victimization all over your lifetime. And you say, I assume it's no, but you
Hold on 1 second. I'm screenshotting away. I'm getting screenshots. I want the screenshots. Let me go back a little bit.
It covers that. Is that correct? Yes. It covers March 24 incident. Yes. They ask you specifically, have you been sexually victimized in any way? Not sexually assaulted, but sexually victimized in any way. And your answer,
all right. Boom. Oh, gosh. No, we're not muted. I'm simply getting screenshots. So let me... All right. Got it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your indulgence.
sir, on July 24th was, and I presume this was no. Is that correct? Yes. And they go on to ask your entire history of sexual victimization, not just sexual assault, not a criminal offense, but sexual victimization all over your lifetime. And you say, I assume it's no, but you clearly clarify and explain that blank correct. Yes. Would you agree with me that at no point in this question did you mention any intimate interaction that you had with John, that you don't discuss anything related to John at all? Is that correct? No, I did not. Okay. You understand at that time you needed to be honest, complete, and accurate in the information you're providing, to the best of my current knowledge. They also ask you on those pages, have you experienced any emotional, physical, or sexual abuse in any way? And you disclose that blank. Yes. Okay. And was that relationship that you were in 6 years prior to going into Austin Oaks? I was a child. So she talks about several places that she was sexually victimized as a child, right? So she was sexually victimized as a child, right? Not by Tectone, by somebody else, right? Which is horrible. And did you discuss your relationship and sexual abuse? You mean with John? Wait, I'm sorry. I'm confused. I mean, any adult sexual victimization, do you discuss that in this answer? No, I don't believe I did. Okay. Do you mention any sexual abuse in this answer at John's hands? I believe I only put it in there. Okay. At any point in these records, do you discuss, according to your testimony, that vicious, brutal sexual, coerced sexual encounters that you had with John? No. Okay. Again, that was just 2 months after the last alleged brutal oral sexual victimization that you experienced. And before that, I confided and got clarification what was going on. Okay. And you had been through sexual abuse before. Is that fair? You were familiar, unfortunately, with what that looks like and with what that feels like with the dynamics involved. It was very different. It was full blown, crying, pulling your pants down, raping you. And that was very different. I understand like what rape is. I don't fully understand like sexual assault. So she's saying that before she was raped and she knew what rape was, but she didn't know what sexual assault was. Why is some stuff redacted? No, this is the records were sealed. That's why the medical records were sealed. So some of the medical stuff is out. That's why it's redacted by the court. And so I can't show what's redacted because it's sealed. And I don't have access to that. This is already pre-redacted. I can't unredact this. So it's not my redactions. Let's be very clear. These are the court's redactions, not my redactions. Okay. I want to pivot and ask you about, so you've been released from Austin Oaks. Is that correct? May I have a moment? I'm sorry. Okay, my apologies. You released from Austin Oaks and you were continuing communicating. I believe he's listed as blank. Yes. You listed him as what? That's because that's where I was living at the time. And you send John your patient access code so we can call up Austin Oaks so he can find out more information. I don't remember if I did that. Okay, so if that's in the text messages, would you have any reason to disagree with that? No. So she literally was saying, I went to this hospital because I'm afraid of him, but I sent him my access code, my patient access code. Those two stories don't add up, right? So I was so afraid of him, I went to the hospital and I sent him my patient access code so he could look at my files, right? Okay. Let's fast forward to the post that I believe you made on X. I think we can get rid of formerly known as Twitter at this point. Well, what fun is that? It's jokes, Miss Locke. And this was November 20th, 25. You write on Twitter how you are supposed to feel if a guy's abusive and makes you cry, then shoves your head on his crotch and demands you suck him off. And his excuse is, quote, emotion turns me on when you cry. Or when you're asking that you don't feel comfortable doing something sexual and he records you and stops making faces and pretends like it. Or you just say that you don't want to do it anymore and he shoves your head down until you throw up, guilt trips you into giving BJs and says, do your job, you don't pay rent. I took you to a water park, so you owe me. And all you can do is sleep upstairs because you know what he's going to be telling you. Do you remember making that post? So she made a post that's clearly referencing him, right? So part of this, and this is sort of the defense of Tectone responding here, is he's responding because she's writing stuff about him, right? So it's like this one-way street where she can write stuff about him, but he can't write stuff about her, right? You can't unredact like you could the Epstein ones. No. How'd you get the transcripts? Legal mindset magic, right? Things just appear in legal mindset's inbox. Yuri Strikes for 5 Swiss francs says she talked about how that meant like being a socialist seizing the means of reproduction. Oof, Pokimane most affected. Okay, sorry. I had to get a Pokimane jab in there. Hold on. Gotta get a little, hold on. Forgetting Pokey.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Just like mental illness excuse for her, but not for him. That's right. Says Ace Event Tuna. Appreciate that. Okay. Do you remember making that post? Yes. Okay. This wasn't a private post, correct? It was an alternative account with very low following. Not an excuse. It's on a burner account. Oh, it's on my burner account excuse. Oh, that's the excuse. It's just a burner. Well, it says pink, and that's kind of your screen name. Isn't that fair? It's like an alternative name, Pink Chow or something like that. Okay, but to be fair, in November of 2004, well before any of the exhibits are in evidence, well before any of that, you make an allegation that said John had sexually abused you. Is that fair? Maybe this is 2024. I think this is not 2004. She probably wasn't even born then. I don't even know whatever her age is. Miss Locke says, Judge, I'm not going to object, but that is one mischaracterization. And additionally, the best evidence are actually text messages. We don't even know what they say. Any response? Judge, I think she ratified through testimony your text post. All right, objection overruled. So Ashley, I'm going to ask you, in any of these exhibits that are posted, you discussed John allegedly abusing you. I do not say any names. I talked about a personal experience I had. Okay, and very similarly, again, I think we've established that none of your posts that you have entered in evidence that John mentions your name in that way. Is that fair? There are posts in which he does mention my name. Okay, would you agree with me that your allegations in November 20th Twitter post, they mirror the allegations that you made in the application for protective order? It's a place where I can write down my personal feelings like a journal without, it's just personal thoughts that you're posting online for other people to see. Okay, much in the same way, John communicates online. Yes, but he uses my name. I'm just saying, like, there are posts where he used my name. Okay, at the risk of getting asked and answered direction, I'm going to ask you again. Sorry, my apologies. Can you point to me any exhibit that is in evidence where John posts Linda, Miss Lamar, Pink, Pikachu, or Ashley? Is that binder? Does that count as no, ma'am? Okay, these exhibits that are in evidence. Okay, not the ones that were shown. So he never uses her name. And so they're both referencing each other, and they're both not using their name, right?
So she's allowed to make these posts about Tectone, but Tectone's not allowed to respond. I just want you all to be clear. As a man, you're not allowed to respond. You're not allowed to address these things, even if you don't mention her name, even if you're vague, you're not allowed to do it. But she can be way more specific than you. She can be way more specific than you and come after you. And everyone knows it's about you, but you can't respond. Okay? Are we on the same page? Yeah.
Fatima Mahamalati said, hello, my friend wants to move to Bangkok. How is it safe? It's safe. Yeah, Bangkok's safe and cool. It's a really good place to live. There's some downsides, some pros and cons. If they want to email me, I'm presence enough that rumors online, lies according to you, disgusting lies were spread online, could damage your image to the point that you lose endorsements, business deals, and things like that. It's possible. What, in fact, again, that's what you allege. What, in fact, again, that's what you allege in the lawsuit. Fair? Yes. Okay, so you knew the impact with, even to borrow a phrase from your terminology, you're small in comparison to John's following, the impact that lies with rumors or negative comments that could have on a business. Is that fair? Yes. And again, that's entire basis of the lawsuit you filed. Okay, is that fair? Yes. She's admitting right here that even a small account can have a big negative impact on a larger account based on false allegations and rumors, right? She did that in her lawsuit with Freem. It's a mess. Yes, someone said this is an absolute mess. And understanding that in your sphere of influence online, it is well known that you were in a relationship with John, and understanding that in John's sphere of influence, it was well known that he was in a relationship with you online, and you would agree with me that it's reasonable that those people, upon reading that Twitter post, would come to the assumption that you're talking about him. Is that fair? Not at first, until he publicly stated it himself, and he said it was about him. Okay, you don't think it's reasonable at all that anyone would read that, understanding that you guys have been in a relationship and had come to the conclusion that you were talking about him. Maybe some people, but not because there was no clarification who I was talking about or any names. Well, literally her excuse, there was no clarification about who I was talking about or any names. Tectone has the exact same excuse. They both were doing things without mentioning names. Both of them.
Right. Right. Like I said, if you're a guy, you can't respond. Even if you don't mention her name, even if you're less specific, you're talking in generalities, the court system will side with the woman, even if she's come after you first. Do you see why I think that the judge and the lawyer and Pinky Chew and Freem and all of these other people should be put in the box? Does it start to make sense now? Do you start to get it?
How often do you get barred from owning guns in America? Very often. It's called red flag laws. It's a big problem. And there's a lot of activist judges, particularly in certain jurisdictions, that will take away your guns very easily for red flag laws. I really am against them because they're taken away for just feelings, right? I feel this person is dangerous. Oh, their guns are gone. And what was your intention in posting that? It was for my friends, I think. Okay, people that you've been trying to isolate me. Okay, but you would agree that you were free to text message those friends and you were free to direct message those friends. No, you couldn't do that. I believe I was being ignored or blocked by many of my friends after we were broken up. So her excuse is, okay, this is the excuse. I have to put it on X because I was being ignored or blocked by my friends. Okay. All right. Interesting theme there. Okay, so it sounds like your intention was more not to communicate with close friends, but was to influence people. Sorry. Now go ahead and answer. It was also just the right thing to do, I think, to publicly come out with what had happened. Yeah. So it sounds like, upon a little reflection, that maybe part of your motivation, or at least, was to publicly discuss what you alleged experience. It was my own personal experience. I didn't say that anyone's name, though. Okay, but can we agree that your part of motivation in doing that was to let other people know? I don't understand. Like, well, you had a journal. Is that fair? Yeah. Just a thing to write on. I don't really keep a journal. Okay. And whose use is that? It was just for him to write things down he thought were wrong with me. Okay, well, could you memorize any personal thoughts that were in the journal? Is that fair? No, there's really not any personal thoughts. There's only 2 pages that are written, or 3 in this journal, right? Let's take a step back. Twitter is social media. Yes. And the purpose of Twitter is to communicate with other people. Yes. Okay, the purpose is to communicate unless you have a private setting with anyone that looks at your profile. Is that fair? Yes. And you wanted to communicate with friends, you could just text message, email, or directly message. It's more complicated, I think. How? Like if someone's blocked you or ignoring you or doesn't want to get involved or scared to reach out, in a lot of awkward interactions. So it's part of your sworn testimony here in court that zero part of your motivation in posting on Twitter was to let the general public know what you'd experienced with John. It had to do with a personal experience I experienced, and I explicitly didn't say names. Were you talking about John? He assumed I was talking about him. I didn't ask that. Were you talking about John? And I'll remind you, you are under oath, okay? She nods her head. Here we go. So you were talking about John. She was talking about him. And when you put it on social media, we agree that it's reasonable that people in the public, specifically business associates of John, specifically potential employers of John, would see it. Is that reasonable? Is that possible? I didn't think it was possible until he went public the next day. She didn't think it was possible that his employers or people he's working with would see a public post on.
This woman is such a lying, manipulative bitch. This is crazy. And guys, we're not even done with this. We still got a ways to go. But I mean, like, this is genuinely nuts. You guys start to see why this is so dangerous. If you actually go through this thing and you actually read it and you actually go line by line, it's clear that this woman is a lying, manipulative whore. Not based on any sort of generalities. And you just hate women. Nope, I hate you. Based on your behavior, what you've done.
Twitter, let me tell you, if you've been on the internet, your haters are going to forward everything to everybody you work with, all your hater stuff. They're going to do that immediately. Bro, can Tectone appeal it? Yeah, but I think he has to appeal it to the same judge, which is a problem. That's a real problem. Mr. Paradox says, seems like the court is showing extreme. Yeah, and it's a activist judge with a history of DV, right? A personal history, right? Is your Twitter set to private? No, but I put a small Twitter page that not many people could find. And that was like an alternative page for not many followers. Okay, if I represent to you that 114,000 people saw that tweet, that's what's reflected on your Twitter. Was that before or after he publicly made it public, or I'm publicizing it? I'm just asking you a question. Would that surprise you? Judge, I'm going to object. The timing of the views in comparison to when they are posted, the number of followers she had. I mean, he keeps talking about, he never names her. We're getting ready to show the video. We specifically names Pink today after these videos. Court says, I mean, I agree. Asking how many views there were on this video now today is completely distorted. So the judge is coming in here with her opinion. Okay, nice. So, I mean, you can ask a different question. How many followers, how many views at a time if she knows, but the reference today is not what I'm talking about. I agree with you, Your Honor. Pink, let me ask you this a different way. If you had more than one follower, is that fair? Can we agree? On that account, yes. So you're understanding that you're releasing information in your situation with John to at least one person. We can agree that you discussed this online with John prior to discussing it online. Can we agree with that? I did not at the time say anyone's name. And it was not explicitly about anyone I did not have the purpose of it being for people to know exactly who. It was for close friends and people in the space, if that makes sense. It doesn't. But do you want to keep explaining? I'm going to object this as vague. I don't know if it's vague. It's definitely argumentative. So objection sustained. I'll move on, Your Honor. Can we agree you're talking about John when you made that post? I had. It was some of what he had done. Okay. Somewhat, yes. Like it was, you testified it was. So I'm saying like it's not everything what I'm explaining. Okay, but that post was about John. Yes, the post was publicly stating anyone's name, was not publicly stating anyone's name, and not many people knew exactly what was going on at the time. So she's hold on. Where is it? Where is it, guys?
You are hoping.
That's some cope right there on that one. That's some premium grade cope. Can he appeal and request a change of venue? So I was doing some research on this, and I think he may not be able to change venue or judge on this. And it may be some Texas rules. I'm not a Texas lawyer. I don't pretend to be. So I think he may be kind of stuck with this on the appeal. So yeah. Beef says this is why he will not cover this. So this is why you need an objective person covering it, and he will not be covering this. He cannot talk about this, guys. This is the point. The point is Tectone cannot defend himself, right? Yeah. He cannot defend himself. So let's continue here. He really can't talk about it. Okay. Let's see here. Yes, Judge, we're going to we're going to play what's been marked as applicants 47. It's one of the streams from November 22nd. And we're going to introduce the subject we said before. Any objection? No. It's admitted they play a video. Did you notice the comments that were going up on the side? Did you have any chance to look at any of those? And if you didn't, that's okay. I didn't read them at all. Prior to this video, had you made allegations against Mr. Roberts in public? I made a tweet without explicitly saying anyone's name. Once again, a tweet where you can assume who's who. Let me pull up the tweets because it's already in evidence. They make a reference to the medical records from Austin Oaks. You did not write down or fill out the paperwork, correct? No. Okay. And the nurses filled it out for you. Yes. All right. And in there, did you also make reference to blank as causing you stress? That's a medical record that we can't talk about. I'm not sure. If it says it in there, okay, let's go over the records. You sued his ex-wife. You sued the ex-wife, Freem, right? Yes. And you sued her based on statements that she was allegedly making, correct? Yes. And those statements that opposing counsel highlighted, yes. And what were the statements that she's accused of making? Let's go on. She's accused of me of grooming her as his slave. Okay. And it was his ex-wife that was making those allegations in a public forum, right? She was telling that privately to people. Okay, and you sued, I guess, to stop that. I sued her so she wouldn't show any more videos or to make sure that she didn't have access to the footage that she had recorded of me. And so it wasn't you making these statements about Mr. Robertson, it was ex-wife. Yes. Let me finish the question. Oh, sorry, I'm all right. There was actually a settlement, correct? Yes. And you received payment from his ex-wife. Yes. That's relevant. All right, there were some usual injunctions and you can't talk about each other publicly, right? Yes. And Mr. Robertson has made reference to an NDA. Yes, there's an NDA. All right, without going into details, the NDA relates to the lawsuit between he and his ex-wife post-divorce, right? Yes. I believe it was an agreement they made. Yes. And it was an NDA related to them not being allowed. I'm going to object to speculation, blah, blah, blah. Can you tell about this lawsuit? Oh, sorry. Did Mr. Robertson tell you about this lawsuit? He told me that he sent her a cease and desist, paid her $30,000 and made her sign an NDA not to go public. So that was the payout with Freem. That was the payout with Freem. I find it terrifying that an innocent person can end up against a court like this. This is life ruining, even if you're in the right. Scary. It is scary. This is scary. Case said Techie can't talk about it because of this protective order. It's basically an upscale gag order. Yeah, he cannot, because listen, the language of this protective order says he cannot do anything to harass or annoy her. So even releasing documents can be seen as harassing or annoying. So Tectone cannot release this document, right? Now, Legal Mindset is not Tectone. So I can do what the fuck I want to do, right? Jaffa Greg for NZ5 says my head hurts. That's right. But we're getting through it. We're already at page 142. Aren't you guys proud of me? We're getting through this, guys. If I have to break this into two, I hope I don't have to break this into two. I think we can get through it. Okay. He encouraged me to sign an NDA and keep all of it under wraps due to the allegations the ex-wife had. He didn't want those going public. Okay. Did you lose a dog during this time? Yes. Okay. My family dog. But it wasn't just your breakup. You had other issues with this regards to why you went to Austin Oaks. Yes. Does going to Austin Oaks make any of your allegations or accusations against Mr. Robertson untrue? No. Okay. Is there some reason why you didn't give detailed information in the Austin Oaks records about what was going on with Mr. Robertson? I just wanted to give an evaluation and leave. That was why I was only there for 3 days. And you, in fact, did not return to live back at Mr. Robertson's place. Is that also correct? No. All right. Then are these tweets that the opposing counsel was talking about? Is that right? Yes. All right. Can you point out where in this you provide Mr. Robertson's name? Nowhere. Okay. Can you give me a time frame of when this occurred? No. And did you make any reference to the specific tweet in his rantings online? Yes, all the time, or a lot of the time. I'm sorry. Did he reference his followers to this tweet? Yes. You heard that in the video back in November 21st, 2024, November 22nd, 24, you said it's war now. Yes. And do you recall that? Witness nods head. And what has been done to your life since he made that statement on November 22nd, 2024? He's completely destroyed my streaming career. I barely ever stream. I had to completely switch to another platform for content and to make money. How did he destroy your streaming career? No one wanted to get near me because he would attack them too. He's already done that to some people. For example, her name's Morgan. People don't want to associate with me or collab with me. So I actually ended up having to fly out to LA to make friends and do collaborations to help my career. So she's essentially saying, hey, look, I got financially hurt by this. And this is something that impacted my career. So I had to change my locale. Speaking of changing, I got my fast facts sorted out. So I'm going to see, let's see, when do we think we're going to finish this? I'm going to gauge that I can finish this in another hour and a half or so. So I'm going to set this to premiere. Hold on. Let's set this to premiere today. 7 a.m., 8 a.m. Let's call it 8:30 a.m. There we go. Okay. Premiere set up with the Gundam music. Okay. Gotcha, guys. Sorry. I have to make sure everything is copacetic. And out, and he stepped outside the office and he said, "You're going to tell me everything you told her in detail. I want to know if you're lying." And we're going to have her on the phone back and forth and find all the information. You're going to text me that you want to suck my dick, or else I'm not going to trust you. How tall is Mr. Robertson? 6'6" or 7? How tall are you? 5'3"? Okay. How much, to the best of your knowledge, does he weigh? Like 260. And what is it? By the way, this is establishing in the like power dynamic wheel of like he was bigger than me, so he's threatening, and I'm small, so I was scared, right? So that's what she's trying to establish here. And okay, when he had you in that chair in the office, what was his demeanor towards you? Very angry. Did it cause any concerns? I was just terrified that she was going to say too much and he might do something. I don't know. I was just kind of scared. Okay, and then how long after that before you confided in someone else about the events that occurred during your relationship? Him and this other girl went to the anime convention. I asked my new assistant, she was a mutual friend of ours, to go with me to the domain, that I just needed to talk to somebody. I confided in her some of the things he had, done. And I told her that we never had sex, that we would only make him give me blowjobs, and that he was really worried about it. And me and her had become best friends since then. She's helped me through a lot. And I know that a sexual assault in your past, and you said it was sexual assault. And I know the last thing you want to do is to go into it. But can you just tell the court briefly what happened, so the court understands what the distinction was in your head? He had gone to a hospital for an injury. He asked me if I could help him when I was in the bathroom. We went to the bathroom. He then pulled down my pants and raped me as I cried and told him no. That was your boyfriend when you were in your 20s. So this is not Tectone. So let me be very clear. Not Tectone. This was a boyfriend in the 20s, right? So this is a
Man, Hassan is having a bad day.
recollection of what happened to her, not Tectone, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's just be very clear about that one. King Lugia with 1 legal minds membership. Thank you. Katie, not Kate, as a new member. Sexual behaviors against your will. Is that right? Yes. Okay. And all this occurred on multiple occasions. Yes. And you still believe that a protective order is necessary for you and your safety and protection. Yes. And you're asking the court to grant it today. Yes, please. I passed the witness. Mr. Perrier, nothing at this time. All right. Brief recess. All right. Woo! Let's take a water recess. I'm feeling it, guys. It's one of the longest streams I've done in a while. And honestly, I'm half tempted to let's see. Let me privately review this here. How much we got? Okay, hold on. I am tempted to break this up into another stream because I'm like actually really tired right now. We have a lot to go.
Yeah.
I'm tempted. So we're at a point where we just got through Pikachu. So then this is a natural break where
All right, guys. Well, I want to thank Legal Mindset for going through this. I want to thank him for doing an amazing job. He has done an amazing job. Guys, this video is going to be 3 hours long. This is like an episode of Lord of the Rings. But I want to thank you guys for watching it with me, for staying tuned, for staying in it. Yeah, this is probably going to be one of my longest videos to date, but I think that it is crucially important to document all of this. And what I will say at the end here is, after all of this evidence, after all the testimony, I think that Pinky Chew is a disgusting, despicable, dishonest person. I think that they are mentally ill. I think that they are deceptive. I think that they have had their head filled with a lot of poison, and they've decided to ruin somebody's life who seemingly from all this is a pretty good person. I'm not saying he's perfect. That's not what we're saying here. I'm not even saying he didn't do anything wrong. But he seems like a good person who, I mean, was put in a series of shit situations, and the people around him just seem to betray him, and it's disgusting. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. We're just under the 3-hour mark. Thank you again to Legal Mindset. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.